layers, cameras flash at big premieres. Welcome to the new frontier. Can we get some? Can we get some? Maybe someday we'll look back on this ride. Top of the world, we're finally living a lie. Taking it in, 'cause lightning never strikes twice. Won't be a dream, looks like we finally arrived. Spotlight coming down like a hammer. Hot sweat getting hot off the danger. Cheer quick, 'cause it's not in the nature. People never touch the ground, pretty little gangster now. The good life will always remind me. The real world can be so confining, but power can also be blinding. People never touch the ground, pretty little gangster now. Silver song, don't fail me now. Used to looking out my windows just to find a way to steal the crowd. Pretty gangsters climbing out. Up the ladder, pitter patter, take a look at all the gold we found. Hollywood, the land of dreams. Nothing's ever what it seems. Holy water, make me clean. Can we get some? Can we get some? Crystal glasses, chandeliers, cameras flash at big premieres. Welcome to the new frontier. It's my anthem. It's my anthem. Maybe someday we'll look back on this ride. Top of the world, we're finally living a lie. Taking it in, 'cause lightning never strikes twice. Won't be a dream, looks like we finally arrived. Spotlight coming down like a hammer. Hot sweat getting hot off the danger. Cheers quick, 'cause it's not in the nature. People never touch the ground, pretty little gangster now. The good life will always remind me. The real world can be so confining, but power can also be blinding. People never touch the ground, pretty little gangster now. Maybe someday we'll both look back on this ride. Top of the world, we're finally living a lie. Taking it in, 'cause lightning never strikes twice. Won't be a dream, looks like we finally arrived.
And this again came out of the world. Hi folks, I'm Alan Watt, and this is Cutting Through the Matrix on the 18th of February 2018. We live in an age of announcements with exoteric messages and esoteric messages. Often they're just the same message actually, but for those who are in on the know, they get the real meaning out of the message, and they tend to remember it. For the general population, they hear it, and like everything else is dished out by the bucketful out in front of them. Because we're inundated with data all the time, most people just ignore these little announcements and so on, and think nothing more about them, because we are given a lot of fake data as well. We always have been given fake data. It's nothing new. And that tends to do the old cry wolf type idea, so you'll ignore a lot of things that are dished out at you from past experience. It's very much like the articles I've read in the past about the medical industry, where they admit themselves, a few years after every announcement on some breakthrough for this or breakthrough for that, some wonder drug or whatever it happens to be. And surveys have proven and tests have shown they throw it out the window and it joins a big garbage heap of nonsense because it doesn't work at all, whatever it happens to be. That's how things really are. Data is dished out. It's like with such. It's not even buckets full. It's not even garbage trucks full. It's mountains that's dumped on top of us all the time, and it's a technique of burying you. You get buried with data, most of it irrelevant. And that's how the technique of really flooding your mind goes. It dampens your mind, it floods your mind, and it smothers you until you switch off. That's the point of it. All of what I'm talking about was discussed back in the 90s. I'm sure long before that, but that's when they started to put in the paper about the coming information warfare that would go on, and propaganda wars, and so on. And they didn't sit back. Governments and agencies, the agencies that really are higher than governments, your governments are puppets for people above them. But the agencies are awfully important, the military and all the different spy agencies, etc. And they don't sit back and wait for things to happen. They always get right into action, years and years and years ahead of anything happening, on the very suspicion or possibility of something happening, and they go into action and make sure they're ready for anything. They don't wait for it to happen. They're already prepared. For 1,000 things that might never happen, they're still prepared for it too. And that's how power holds on to itself. It doesn't dissipate, doesn't get lost, and it doesn't, no matter what happens, whatever crisis comes along, it survives. Its prime function is to maintain itself. Now, years ago, years and years ago, I gave talks on all the things that were planned to change society that I knew of. And there's an awful lot of stuff that we're dishing out over many years. Again, these little announcements, these little disclosures and so on, that most folk just get fed up listening to. But they pretty well told us at the top, big scientific community organizations and the big foundations which finance them, the big think tanks that work for the CFR and many other organizations, constantly dishing out their propaganda, basically, but also their plans for the future. And they're not pretending. I keep telling people, you hear folk going to Davos and so on. Yeah, you don't vote for Davos, do you? You don't vote for the folk who go there, either. But supposedly they're making your policy for if it's going to affect your lives and your children's lives too. Well, stop calling yourself democratic, since you don't vote for these characters. Stop doing it. And stop calling yourself democratic since your governments are signing on to all these agendas drafted up by these private institutions. It's a joke, come on. But we know we're run by different hands, basically, you might say. The world is run by different orders than the one that you see. And Benjamin Disraeli said the same thing. And many others after him too have said the same thing, that Bernays, for instance, Ed Bernays said it too. He said that a new type, a new system of, he was talking about his own group of marketers and mind manipulators. They were really the power behind everything, and they were indispensable to governments because they could manipulate the minds of millions of people. We're way beyond that now, way beyond it. And the data for manipulating us all is just, it's beyond expanded. It's just massive, the data on how we tick. And our own tax money, of course, is always used against us for all these studies. Countless ongoing studies over and over and over. And we don't have much of a chance that way. Therefore, when you hear about the Internet of Things, again, a little disclosure announcement, don't dismiss it. It's real. When you hear about the field, the unified field, they're using that terminology too. You had Persinger in Canada here, who's announced he thinks it's wonderful, we'll all be connected with this wonderful invisible field of Wi-Fi, basically, different frequencies. So much so that one day you'll all feel the pain of someone starving in Africa. Isn't that wonderful? Well, Think of the power of that, because do you sign on to have someone else make you feel things? Do you understand what kind of power this is going to give them all? They've got it, really. That's the same technology that Brzezinski was talking about in the 1970s, in the technotronic era. And it's here. And just like the geoengineering that they poo-poo, and even when they're doing it and admitting it at times, they still poo-poo you if you mention it. It's a great technique they're using against the people. It's really fantastic. They can say what they want, but you can't, even when you're repeating what they say. But that's a technique, again, learned from another organization before that. What I'm saying here is these little announcements they make are very real, and they mean what they say. They don't have world meetings for different things, different agendas. They don't have them all just so they can go and, well, mind you, a lot of them will go for that too, and have their little orgies and things on the side. And they do, they really do, yes. And we pay for it all as well. But, and the big, 50-course slap-up meals and so on. But they really go to make these big plans. And they make sure that they're not doing it for a hobby. They're not doing it thinking, if only we had real power, we could implement it. No, they do this to make sure that the plans will get put into effect. And they're all unified, they're all sworn to it. Regardless of what happens, they'll go ahead with it. And they could have a world war and they'll still push certain parts of the same agenda through. That's what really got me when I read the book about the British Empire. But it was put out by the Council on Foreign Relations. It was an annual meeting which they held in Australia. At that time, the Milner Group that created the Royal Institute for International Affairs, eventually they called it that, was still called different names. Even Winston Churchill wasn't sure. It was a very secretive society. But basically, as Carol Quigley said, it was behind wars. They fomented wars to get their agendas through. When you look at it too, it really is astonishing that they could say in the 1930s, before Japan attacked the US, in the book, it'd be awfully fortunate if the US joined us, perhaps due to an attack by Japan. Now, this was in 1937. The meeting was held. And the book was published a year or two later. They talked again about their big plans for the world. Regardless of these upcoming wars, they talked quite openly about this war that would come with Germany. They had no problems about thinking right through it, or saying we have to put our plans on hold or something. No. These global plans were to go ahead regardless. And during World War II, remember, they had a population meeting headed by the King of England before the war was finished to find out about the possible projections of overpopulation down the road. You've got to understand this is real, and the world's a vastly different system than the one you've been brainwashed to believe exists. It's completely different. Completely. The system really, when you look at the incredible corruption everywhere, is going down to an extent because of corruption. But then you've got the biggest gangs on the planet running the world. At the top. The biggest gangs. That don't mind being known to each other as crooks. It's their right to plunder the planet.
What's up? You got anything to say? Dumbass. Maybe my mic's not working. Check. I don't know. I thought my mic was working earlier. Is it working now? Hello? No, it's not.
Is your mic broken again?
Fucking hell, dude. God, this shit's stupid. I don't know why my mic doesn't work in Firefox. Google. I'm loading up Google Chrome. Wait. Fucking stupid. This computer's so fucked, man. I mean, I've definitely got my money's worth out of it, though. Wow, take forever to load. Wow, still not loading. This is fucking insane. Holy fuck, why is this so fucked? Holy shit, dude. I used to be able to stream League on this computer. It's so fucked. Wow. It's time to ditch Skype and TeamSpeak, boys. Guess I'm calling. Guess I'm hitting top per. I guess. Good God. This is like taking 5 minutes to load Discord. What in the fuck? Holy shit. This is like fucking dial-up internet shit. God, you bet? You c-bet into fucking that many people? But you bet small. There, my mic works now. And now you check. I'm all in. Right? Yeah. Right? Yeah. He would bet ace queen, right? Wow, you own me. Really? At fucking ace 10? That's crazy. He checked back ace 10 there. Okay. Okay. I was thinking about just trying to get to showdown. No, I think that's a shove. That's a shove. I got a shove there. What happened here? Oh, he didn't see bet. Okay. I should have probably bet there. I'm not running for me, dude. My mic doesn't work in Firefox. So I was switching to fucking Chrome, but it took like fucking forever to load the shit. So fuck it.
Planet. Because it's their right since they're at the top of the planet, basically. That's how they see it. They really believe they're a superior species, like Bertrand Russell said. And they're here. They're absolutely here, and they have the right to do what they want. But the corruption further down the ladder, which they knew would happen as we emulate them, the corruption further down the totem pole would eventually render society dysfunctional. And we will go through a period of incredible dysfunction. We're kind of in it at the moment. As they pile on more dysfunction, you don't bring masses of immigrants in when your countries have been turned into service economies. You don't do that. You simply don't do it. And in a service economy, you're struggling already with getting enough work to keep the folk going at home already, keep them surviving. And that's why they're floating this idea across the planet of a basic income, regardless if you work or not. An old plan, a plan worked out back in the 30s and 40s, which again they're implementing now. There's nothing happening today that wasn't planned a long time ago. Nothing. Right down to the gender bending, all of this stuff. Because if they can get men to forget about women, then they won't have to worry about children and overpopulation again. They really want to drastically reduce the population. Some governments are paying to have this taught on their population so they won't breed anymore. It's not all by chance, if you think it is. There's nothing happens on a big scale in the world that is by chance, nothing at all. But what I'm saying is, be prepared. Like I said, in 2001, the hardest thing from then on, up to right to now and beyond now, will be to hold on to your sanity. Because that was a kickoff, that was a big announcement for all the agendas to start getting rammed forward very fast from 2001 onwards. It's been a roller coaster. That's where announcements were made by members of the CFR that life would never be the same again. Never, never ever be the same again. The whole world's been changed. And that's what they needed too, their Pearl Harbor event. Well, they got it, and away we go. And you got to be honest with it. Just stand back and look at things too. It's not to downplay the severity of, and the numbers game either, of the loss of human life with 9/11. Because say it's around 5,000 or whatever it happened to be, the fact is you lose more than a year with people who get the flu. So really, is that a reason to completely change the system and the culture and everything else in a nation by spying on everybody, giving folk no rights whatsoever, by having checkpoints all over the place? And then, it makes no sense at all. Of course it's not. During World War II,
Oh, you got your mind
you didn't have
working,
as
bitch.
much of spying on the public as you have today. And we're being taught it's normal now. Accept it,
Well, you can't take us
forever
both
and
on.
ever and ever. Every tyrant's dream was how to monitor.
So it's even, 3-on-1. I'm serious. You guys don't fucking read.
Maybe.
I just look at the Cliff Notes. I learned that from high school. I never read shit in high school. I went to online and got Cliff Notes for everything.
Yeah.
Past all that bullshit. Sometimes you might run into a question or something where the Cliff Notes don't help you, and then usually you can just kind of BS some answer or some shit.
It's got a massive delay.
Yeah, there's
Yeah. Yeah, it's a massive delay, but
it's because I'm playing poker. I put that on purpose. Although I doubt anyone's gonna really fucking snipe me because I'm playing shit stakes. But you never know. Does Lewis even know he's here?
yeah, it'll go. Like I said, it's a massive delay.
Did you apologize to Rebel?
Yeah.
You did? Oh my god. Is she the leader?
Don't sleep before they talk.
Is she your guys' leader? Do you guys just do what she says or what? How does it work? I just made a funny joke about your stupid handle name. I called you the Nig. You sound like a white guy though, but you're ignorant, so I could call you a Nig.
Don't call me a nig. That's fucking disrespectful. How are your mess sores fucking holding up, brother? Are they healing up?
My what? Mess sores?
Your mess sores.
shit. Never done meth.
Yeah. Bring someone else. It's unfair.
3-on-1. I've never done meth.
You should feel privileged. Pay Mars. Lewis is giving you views, mate. You better make the most of it.
Lewis doesn't get views.
Neither do you.
No, I don't. I'm not a part of it.
That
Like-
helps.
Like, my shit's boring because, like, if you don't fucking know what's going, like, most people can't even fucking follow the shit I'm talking about because they, like, are just clueless. So, and then, like, I'm doing research and shit when you guys want to, like, make fun of retards. So, of course, I'm not gonna get viewers because the popular shit is, like, ignorant as fuck, and anyone, like, who's trying to do anything, you know, intellectual, no one's gonna watch that shit. There isn't any popular streams where people like do serious research or discuss serious topics. It's all fucking drama and like freak shows. I mean that's what the audience wants because you know the audience is pathetic and they've been dumbed down through the education system. God, I should be betting here on the turn. It's fucking up. Yeah, I was just reading about this German philosopher named Fitch. I talk about like the Hegelian dialectic, and I always thought Hegel created the Hegelian dialectic as it is attributed to his name. But apparently this motherfucker thought of this shit. Johann Fichte. I don't know how to pronounce that shit. Yeah, I think he must have had something to do with the Prussian education system, I'm thinking. I need to do further research. But, like, he had all these quotes that were really interesting about education. And, talking about how the goal of education should be to make it so, like, no one can think for themselves. And they would only think what the school masters have taught them to think. I don't know, because like when I was in school, I never felt like I was really learning to use my mind. It was just like they don't teach you that shit.
No, when they say pay attention, you pay attention.
Yeah. Luckily, like in 6th grade, I caught one of my school teachers in a lie. So then, ever since then, I didn't really believe the shit they were teaching us, and I was more critical. Because, like, I fucking hate... if you want to... Yeah, the only way you can really embarrass me...
No, he can't. He can't lose. He can't. Is the answer to that question?
Is Lewis talking? I can't hear him. Why can't I hear him? Do I have him muted? Oh, I have him muted.
You don't have me muted. Oh, he does have me muted. we had each other
Really?
muted. Looks like we had each other muted the whole time.
Yeah, now I can hear you.
That's funny. So tell me about the story.
What story? About being lied.
Again,
What story? About
the
being...
teacher that you called out in a lie.
I've told you that, haven't I? About like they told us like only 2 rivers in the world flow north, or some shit. And then
Oh man, what a awesome thing you did, calling the teacher out on the lie.
Mm-hmm.
They were clearly trying to mislead you for nefarious purposes about the direction that rivers flow.
Yeah, I don't know how you could have lived with that.
Yeah.
What
a scumbag.
Why are you being sarcastic?
Because it doesn't
Oh, no,
matter.
I'm not being
It doesn't matter. What do you expect your teacher to be perfect? That's such a petty thing, dude. Rivers and the direction they flow, that's really petty.
Yeah, well, I went over to my neighbor's house, and like their dad is a scientist, and
Okay.
I shared this like fact with them, and they all laughed at me, and I was embarrassed. So it pissed me off because like the only way I can really get embarrassed is like intellectually like that. So
Well, maybe you should have some thicker skin and realize that it's okay to be wrong sometimes, and then you can go about the business of being less wrong.
what is your point?
You broke up.
What is your point? Like I don't get what you're getting. What are you driving at?
Well, I'm not sure what your point is, so I'm just responding to what you're saying. I don't really have a point. I'm responding to what you're saying.
You're a little boy.
You said you went over to your friend's house, whose dad was a scientist, and you said something and they laughed at you.
Yeah, I repeated a fact I learned in school that was like totally bullshit. Wasn't even remotely close to being true.
Okay. That happens. So what, you just hate everybody now?
That happens? What?
That happens. So what, do you just hate everybody now?
What are these like conclusions you're jumping to? Like,
I'm not jumping to conclusions at all there. That is something that happens. You learn things that are incorrect in school sometimes because people are not perfect. And then other people who know better in real life laugh at you. It's possible to think you're genuinely correct because of sources and then find out that you're not correct because of other sources.
What source would say there's only 2 rivers in the world that flow north when that's not even
An incorrect one.
There's no
Clearly.
source that would ever say that.
I don't see what the issue is, man.
It's because you're fucking brainwashed.
Yeah, that's probably right. It's probably because I'm brainwashed.
How old are you?
Old enough to be brainwashed.
That's fucking way ahead when I was your age from where you are.
I'm glad. Oh,
That's fucking comedy gold.
where are you now?
I'm like uncharted, man.
You're in Fargo, North Dakota.
Yeah.
Which is, there's nothing really wrong with Fargo, North Dakota.
I'd like to live in a smaller city, honestly.
Do you want to be in a smaller city?
Yes. Living in a big city is fucking for foolish retards who are brainwashed like you.
Oh, really? It's
Yes.
not for high density of economic
No.
activity?
If
That's
you-
not what it's about?
If you were more intelligent and like knew how the world works, you would understand that getting people out of small cities is part of the agenda from the Lord Milner roundtable groups. You fucking moron.
Well, yeah, because it's better to have people packed into a tight area. There's more possibility to
and-
make money.
It creates psychological damage in people. That's why like people in cities are like more mental. It's healthier
You
to
don't-
be in the country.
They're not necessarily more mental. Not necessarily.
Studies show in rats when you have them compact into a small living environment that they develop psychosis, and it's the same thing in
Right.
people. Like you look at a big
Well,
city,
that happens.
you
no
got a
matter
bunch
what.
of you got a bunch of homeless, crazy, drunk junkies and shit. Like who the fuck?
Psychosis happens.
Who the fuck
to
wants
everybody,
to be
no
in
matter
a fucking
what.
big city?
That's a
You gotta be
personal
out of your
struggle of
fucking
life, dude.
mind. You're just an idiot.
That is the. I don't know if I should call you by your screen name or your actual name,
Doesn't
but
matter.
that's just
I'm
the struggle
doxxed.
of life.
You and your fucking friends want
That's
to
the s-
dox me.
That's the
Fucking
struggle
little
of life,
pathetic
dude.
little boy. Can't
The struggle
can't
of
handle
life
losing a
is-
fucking argument, so you have to fucking dox people and shit.
I'm just,
No one's losing anything here, Pete.
I'm
Just
not-
fucking
You
settle
guys are
down.
losing hard.
I'm not trying to
Because
dox
all
you.
I'm getting from
I'm
Lewis
just-
is fucking anecdotes and his opinion. Cite a
Dude,
source, you
you-
stupid fuck.
It's
All
not.
you're doing is giving life
it's
quotes,
not
but you sit there
doxing.
playing poker
Cite a
all day.
source.
You
Someone
kidding me,
cite a
aren't you?
source. I don't want to hear your opinions, people.
My opinions.
I don't
my
give a
opinions
fuck about your
are-
opinions. Cite a source. Read a book. Say something
My
interesting.
opinions.
What the fuck are
my
you here?
opinions trump your sources.
You're a
My
fucking
opinions
joke.
trump your sources.
You're a joke, little boy. I hear you talking about your opinions like they're facts. Like you're just like a fucking flat earther. You sit
Some
there
of
on your
them are.
fucking
Some of them
Discord. Oh, I'm just gonna give my opinion. Yeah, the sun is 3 miles.
Yeah.
The sun's
Yeah,
3
yeah,
miles
that's
away. Who the
exactly
fuck
right.
cares? I don't have to cite a source. I'm fucking Lewis.
Why would I cite a source? I'm not
Gravity
making any
doesn't
claims
exist.
about
I'm not
stuff.
going to cite any sources. I'm just going to talk about my theory of the electric universe. Blah.
I don't.
Well, Pete,
I
how
don't
about
believe
while
in the
you're
electric
sitting there
universe.
listening
What the
to us
fuck?
on Steve Anthony's channel, how about you truck into Google some of the things that he's saying and find out whether they are true or false, mate?
I mean, if you want me to cite a source, then, if I cared, if you believed me, if I was trying to compel you, I might do that. But the people I'm talking to in that Discord, I'm not trying to compel them.
You guys are such hypocrites. Everything you criticize a fucking flat earther for doing, you're fucking guilty of. It's so pathetic.
Like what? Looking
Fucking
looking through a
everything. Like
telescope?
talking shit. Like fucking finding sources for your fucking goddamn stupid opinion that you think is the truth.
Which
Your
opinion?
epistemology, what is it based off of? It's no different than a fucking flat earther. You just base your epistemology off stupid propaganda. Your fucking
Like what?
retarded education.
Like,
You're an
oh,
indoctrinated,
well, I mean, the retarded
slave boy.
the retarded education is full of sources. So
You are a slave boy. Yeah, they are. But you can't
So,
remember them.
okay.
You can't fucking remember them and repeat them. You have to fucking just give your opinion because you're a fucking idiot.
Well, I mean, let's think about this for a minute. After you look at a bunch of facts, what else do you have but your opinion?
Dude, when I fucking talk to people and I present my assertions, I cite them with sources, okay, from books and shit. I don't
All
just
right, well,
I don't just
talk in
I don't
that
just
manner.
fucking give my opinion to people and expect them to believe me and shit like you.
Well, they don't have to believe me.
You talk in this condescending, patronizing tone, and you think well, people will just think I know what I'm talking about if I'm condescending and shit.
This is the only voice I've got.
Yeah. Condescending piece of shit. Why are you condescending?
sorry for
You're a
that.
fucking pizza delivery boy and you're fucking condescending. What the fuck? Fucking delivering pizzas and he's condescending and shit.
Well,
You just
I mean,
jealous you get your schoolboy pizza boy then, or what?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
I don't know.
We'll play the jealousy card. Yes, I'm jealous. That
Hey,
you
hey,
deliver
Greg, are
pizza.
you gonna cite a source for that?
My asshole.
A source for what? You guys aren't discussing any topics. You guys are just talking about fucking drama and shit. Because you guys are
Well,
fucking
yeah, that's what
boring
we're
as shit.
interested in.
You don't read any books. You have nothing interesting to say.
So why
do
do you
think
care?
No one
Oh,
fucking
I do.
talks
I
to
do
you?
read books. I do read books, actually.
Boring fuck.
You've been streaming them lately, Lewis. As
Yeah,
well,
I've been
mate.
streaming myself reading
Yeah,
books.
you read a
You should
book.
watch Lewis's channel, Pete.
Yeah, he reads books on how to have friends because he's a fucking boring idiot. He reads the fucking 48 laws of power so he can figure out how to have friends and be in a social circle.
Well, that's not what that book's for, but okay.
Did it not work for you, Pete?
That book is about how to succeed in the world.
That book is fucked up.
Well, have you read it?
Cliff Notes. I just read Cliff Notes.
Get the fuck out, dude. You can't pass a reading test on Cliff Notes. You know that.
I fucking passed high school on Cliff Notes, dude. I never read any books in high school. I just did Cliff Notes.
Wow. Well, I mean, now look who isn't reading thoroughly.
No, you're sitting here preaching we should read books, but you never read through school. That's interesting.
Huh.
Yep.
Oh, well, to each his own. Most people didn't read through school, which is, kind of what you accuse people of doing, being stupid and zombieing their way around. Which, now I really think at the heart of this, the people who are pissed off at the world and want to blame things on the society at large rather than looking at themselves, they wish they would have tried harder, but you can't. So what's the next best thing? Well, to try and get other people to give to you what they learned, which is now your ignorance. So you're burdening the world with your ignorance.
There are a lot of presuppositions there.
Yeah, there are a lot of presuppositions, and they're built on things you've said in this conversation.
They're entirely incorrect.
Okay.
You're like trying to psychoanalyze someone who's way more intelligent and older than you, and you don't know what the fuck you're doing.
Well, I mean, I wouldn't say what I did was psychoanalyze.
How can you
but
understand someone who's way more intelligent than you? Yeah, you were just psychoanalyzing me.
If you think so.
If I think so, that's what you
then I
did.
Can't stop you.
Jesus Christ.
So, you play poker.
Mm-hmm.
He's really smart. He read books.
Really, really intelligent. Not brainwashed.
I'm brainwashed.
Really? Oh. Hey, holy shit! You got a. Oh wait, no, that's not what I thought. You're missing a queen. Would have been a straight flush. Oh wait, no, yeah, you're retarded, Lewis. It's the wrong term.
Wow, someone's actually interested in smart shit.
So, have you read Mastery? That's a good one.
No.
I think you'd like Mastery.
Look it up. By Robert Greene. He examines Charles Darwin, Mozart, and Henry Ford.
Are you gonna leave the Discord? Are you gonna take his advice? We don't own you, Pete. We don't owe you, Mars. P. Mars.
I like talking shit. Like I grew up being a pro.
What's wrong with Charles Darwin?
StarCraft player. That's all I did. Talk shit. Charles Darwin.
Yeah. What's wrong with him?
Well, he stole someone's theory of evolution, and then
He didn't steal it. He corroborated it.
well, you obviously don't know the story.
I know his story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he stole the theory of evolution, and
Have you read or The Origin of Species?
no, did his dad write that? Erasmus?
No, that's his book. That's his book,
yeah.
dude.
No, his
His dad was a numpty nobody, okay?
No, he
Charles
wasn't.
Darwin worked very hard and long his entire life to make that book.
His dad was not a nobody. That's incorrect.
His dad was virtually a nobody.
No, to you because you're stupid. But
Yes,
he was definitely
that's
not
right.
a nobody.
Yes.
Fuck, dude.
We are living on a spinning oblate paroid, Dave Hinkle. That is right. That is right. Not only are we living on it, but we're spinning with it. You know what I'm saying?
We spinning, man. We spinning.
Basically, like, this whole, like, theory of evolution with Charles Darwin, it was brought into, like, people were made to believe it through a series of clever propaganda techniques. And
Well,
not true.
it's compelling. It has more predictive capability. I mean, you don't have to believe.
Predictive
Clearly.
capability.
Yes. We can predict more because of the theory of evolution than we could without.
It's a ridiculous theory. Like, how the
But
fuck could a bee and a flower evolve together at the same time when they require a symbiotic relationship? Like, there's so many things.
Well, when they first started evolving, they wouldn't have required that, and there would have been something else. It's a long string of events that happens one at a time, one step at a time.
Preposterous.
There's all sorts of ridiculous things that exist out there that don't make sense because of evolution, and it's because evolution doesn't care. It just cares about what works. It doesn't care about what would be best.
No fucking, like, in all of antiquity, no one has ever came up with this fucking ridiculous notion of evolution. Only modern
The
man
Greeks
is
did.
dumb enough to believe this shit.
The Greeks did. The Greeks had an idea, but it wasn't necessarily ironed out and proven and demonstrated. And let's see, Wolfgang something did as well. No, that's wrong. Read Mastery, dude. It's got full of historical references from people who influenced our culture tremendously. Basic default 22.
Hello?
I'm gonna have to turn you up. You're super duper quiet.
Oh, that's how I like to be.
Okay. Well, look, I have a bedtime of 1 in the morning, so I'm gonna get out of here soon.
Yeah, I'm getting fucking dizzy.
From what?
The fucking spinning. Can we stop this shit? Spin it back the other way.
No, we can't.
Why not?
You'll fly off.
Who said? Who said?
Well, I did just now.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, that's not spin. That's what that's. Oh, it's truth because obviously that's what they've. Nah, they've never spun it the other way. That's why.
Well, if you take a ball and you spin it real fast, then stuff will fly off it. So like it's the same because it's a sudden acceleration. So if you spun the Earth the other way, then stuff would fly off. Worse stuff.
Ah.
So we would fly off.
Yeah. So,
Yeah. Simple. So I can't hear P. Mars if he's
I'm
talking.
not talking. I was reading.
Okay. Are you reading Cliff Notes of Mastery?
No. I was.
Just, dude, read the actual book, okay?
No.
If you're doing so skippity-doo great with poker, spend $30 on Amazon. I'm sorry, $23, and get Mastery. I would recommend that one before 48 Laws of Power.
I'm never gonna read the 48 Laws of Power.
Well, you don't have to, and I mean, even if I said you did, that wouldn't mean you would have to.
And the book is for free on YouTube.
But it's better to have the book in your hands.
Why?
It's always better. It's like porn is online, but it's better to have a girl in front of you.
I don't know about that.
You don't know about that? Okay.
Have you ever been like in bed with a woman and you didn't want to fuck her and you just like jerked off?
No, I've never had that experience. Because I haven't been in bed with too many women.
Yeah.
It's a mixture of, you know, failure on my own part and too high of standards.
Dude, you do not have high standards because Morky is fucking white trash.
Well, I mean,
She's fucking trailer
she was
trash,
an exception.
dude.
Morky was an exception.
Okay.
But I mean, if you want to talk about
Fucking high
Morky, then,
standards. Give me a break.
yeah.
And she's a
In real
fucking
life, I do.
flat earther. What the fuck is wrong with you?
I know,
High
dude. Well, I mean,
standards.
you know why I did that. You know why I did that.
Shit.
Come on.
No, I have no idea. I was not talking to you at the time.
Yes, you were. I mean, I didn't tell you about it. I was very careful about how I revealed that information. Because, you know, I was trying to, no, I'm not going to say this on live. If you want to talk about it, I'll talk to you about it off air. But, you know, you stab people in the back all the time and spread, you know, take things that they say to you with confidence and spread it around. So I doubt that I will tell you ever, actually.
Yeah.
But I had specific reasons for doing that had to do with making power plays that involved other people, so.
Yeah, is that what you tell yourself? Because like,
That's
if
what
if
I had,
lost a
dude.
girl to IPS, I'd probably kill myself.
I mean, it's not quite like that. It's
I mean,
not.
It's
It's
cool.
not like
it's cool
that at
to-
all, actually.
That's cool.
It's
you
not
can,
even close
like,
to like that.
rationalize in a way that will let you go on living. Because I couldn't.
Well, I mean, she was never mine to begin with, and that was never the goal.
Why do a lot of conversations end with your sex life, Lewis?
I don't know.
'Cause
I
he's
must have a sexy
Banging
life.
fucking.
Unless you're just being a deviant and bringing up sex all the time, mate.
I didn't bring that up.
He's
Or I
like-
mean, maybe.
He's no different than Anthony Riley.
Yeah, but nobody wants to talk about that with him.
I do.
What about his
I
purple
brought- I
monster?
Bring it up all the time.
I don't want to. I can't believe that those pictures exist.
Isn't there one of Nathan like filming his like bedside table and there's dildos and shit laid out as well?
Yeah. If I had any of those toys, you would never see them.
No, well, for fuck's sake. Yeah, let's just upload it to YouTube.
Right. Let's just put it right out there.
Try Pornhub next time, Nathan.
Yeah.
So you should upload that video from yesterday, Pete. Put that on fucking Pornhub, mate. Doing a bit of titty squeezing. By the way, shit tits, man. Shit tits.
I don't know. Pimar's only, he's lost a lot of weight. It's really inspiring, despite everything else that he has in his head.
Still doesn't account for shit tits.
Well, I mean,
Should be inspired by like my fucking genius, not by me losing weight.
no, you losing weight is more inspiring than any of the things I've heard you say.
Yeah, I would say so too.
Well, you guys are fucking retards.
Oh, okay. Well, maybe we should be harder on all the other fatties then, right?
I think like
Keep calling us fucking retards. It's inspiring me.
You're right. I feel inspired.
when you guys like open up your mouse and reveal the state of your inner, mental health, like
Oh,
it's way
you mean
more,
like you?
It's way more disgraceful than being overweight.
Sure, I should just live stream myself sitting in the corner.
I mean, my mental state, I feel like it's fine. I don't think there's anything wrong with my mental state. In fact, I try to preserve my mental state.
You're fucking pathetic, dude. You have like no thought process. You have no logic. You fucking have the reasoning of a woman.
Well, one of the 48 laws of power, which I knew this before I ever read the book.
Don't go there.
One of the laws is assume formlessness, and that's a very useful and difficult thing to do, and I think it's important for everybody to try.
Be like water.
Yeah,
All
exactly.
I know is Pete really hates women. I don't know whether that's because you don't get laid or something, mate, or what, but you really love bashing on women, don't you?
Yeah.
Like, you love it.
I hate
Yeah.
women. I mean, I could have got laid tonight.
Why didn't you? I mean, if I could get laid tonight with somebody that I would accept getting laid with, then I would be doing that right now.
I didn't fucking want to.
Pete, your opposite hand doesn't count as a stranger, mate.
I told this bitch no. She wanted me to.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
No.
She said you had shit tits, didn't
Well,
she?
if you're referring to her as this bitch, then why would you even bring that up? Because that's not someone that I would want to be with. Someone that I would refer to as this bitch.
Bitches. They're bitches.
I mean, then why are you talking about fucking them then? I wouldn't fuck a bitch.
Sometimes you gotta have sex. Like.
No, you don't.
Yeah, like if I go a year without having sex, then I just gotta have sex. Like there's
easy. If you're not meeting somebody that you're uninterested in, then you're doing something wrong, I would say.
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna take dating advice from the fucking guy who has to.
I mean,
use flat
you don't have to take it.
I'm gonna take from the guy who has to use flat Earth community to get laid. Like that's the most pathetic shit ever.
I don't have to. I did.
You clearly
I don't have to do that, but I did do that.
Yeah. Okay.
Having fun. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not trying to force you to think like me or be a certain way.
When I was your age, boy, I was fine. Boy, let me tell you something, little boy. When I was your age, I
want to hear the end of this thought.
I fucking flew to New Zealand and was banging some Kiwi chick, and I lived with her for 2 years. And I didn't meet her. I didn't meet her through fucking flat Earth, dude.
No, you didn't.
Was she a big fat Mary? Fat Mary? Like the haka?
What happened?
Yeah, Mari.
Come mate, ho.
The haka is the shit.
What happened? What happened?
What happened? Like, I fucking changed a lot because I started doing a lot of research over there.
Oh, research. Right.
Yeah. You know that thing that you never fucking do?
No, you mean that word that people overuse constantly for no reason at all?
Which means watched YouTube videos.
You're a fucking idiot, dude. Do you know the difference between YouTube videos now and in 2005? There's a big fucking difference. Okay.
Nothing.
Okay.
There's no difference.
You have no fucking idea, dude.
Still really useless.
Just your anecdotal opinion. Yet again. Cite a fucking source, you pathetic shitbag.
Jesus Christ.
What? Cite a fucking source. You just like state your opinions like they're facts and they're fucking ridiculous.
Well, I don't think I've stated any opinion.
Videos were way different in 2005, dude.
That's not me stating an opinion. Like, I'm just denying what you're asserting. You don't even know what YouTube was like probably then, because you were like, what, like 8? Yeah, I was.
Don't insult YouTube. Pete obviously really likes YouTube.
You're still like sucking your thumb and like taking your blanket to bed and shit.
That
was
No, I only suck my thumb. I don't take my blanket to bed anymore.
Why are you you're making fun of me for liking YouTube? Like, what the fuck? You're on YouTube all the fucking time.
You're the one that's got on the back foot about it, cunt. Settle down.
What are you talking about? You guys are fucking ridiculous.
Trigger warning.
Trigger. Where'd you get that?
Look, just go get a job, okay?
Hey, everyone says trigger. I'm gonna say trigger too. Why don't you call me a cuck next?
You should, well, because I don't like that insult. I think that insult should be used very sparingly.
You guys just like copy everything you fucking see.
Well, I actually have seen people copying things I've done quite a lot, actually.
Monkey see, monkey do.
That's how they're
Yeah.
controlled, man.
Okay.
And then they have
I don't think-
they have
I don't think I'm
adopted the
controlled.
hear no evil, see no evil, speak no evil philosophy.
No
Because they
evil.
can't even fucking understand the shit I'm talking about. Because they've done
Well,
no
what- well-
research.
No research.
The things that you call research, I call easily explainable. More
Really?
more deltard
Okay, so
naturalistic
how
term.
do you explain Carol Quigley?
Well, because Brian Cox said so.
How do you explain?
So
What do you
how
explain?
do I
Why?
explain?
How do you explain Carol Quigley's books?
What are they about?
Okay, here, let's get some quotes.
What are they about? I got 3 minutes. What are they about?
Stuff.
Stuff?
Things.
Yeah. Things.
Well,
Here's a quote. The argument that
Read
the
the
two
book?
parties should represent opposed ideals and policies, one perhaps of the right and the other to the left, is a foolish idea acceptable only to doctrinaire and academic thinkers.
Okay.
How are you concentrating on your poker?
I don't know.
He's not.
No, I think you guys are deliberately distracting.
No, that's impossible. P-Mars is a really good poker player. We can't. It's not possible to distract him.
That's probably why.
The two-party system? I don't give a fuck about the two-party system, man. I'll switch sides. I don't give a fuck.
They could have a three-party system would be the same.
I don't care how things get voted for. Look, here's my thought process. If I lived in the wilderness, which is, by the way, the alternative, right? It's important to look at things in terms of circumstances rather than trying to draw moral judgments. That's a distraction. That's the trick, I think. That's how you get control. Because you fail to recognize the circumstances you're in and get caught up in judging everything. You gotta stop doing that. You gotta look at what your options actually are and try and make them better and make the best pick. And do that again and again and again,
That's-
every day.
You do
That's
need
a-
to keep judging, but
that's
trust
a
yourself
slave-
to judge what is true.
He's got a slave.
It never
Lewis, you got a
occurs to me
slave
that-
mentality. That's a slave mentality. That's
well,
been
no, it's a
indoctrinated
winner's
into.
mentality.
No, you're a slave. You're not. How are you going to be?
Well,
How are you going to
icon.
be a winner? How
You're
are you
the
going to be a
fucking
winner?
hero.
Lewis, how are you going to be
You're
a
the
winner?
hero.
You are
I'll
owned.
get what I want.
You are owned.
I will get what I want.
No, you won't.
I'll get what
You're
I want.
owned. How are you going to
I'll
win?
get-
You cannot win in this system, Lewis.
Yeah, you
You're
can.
you are a slave.
I establish a goal,
Oh my
and then I achieve that goal, so I win.
God,
Is it your goal
pathetic.
or their goal?
Yeah, it's my goal.
Exactly. You don't
You
even.
sure about
Hey,
This
that?
guy is so
Hey,
ridiculous.
you're obviously starting off thinking that you're already defeated, mate. That's why you've got the mentality you've got. You
are
sit
you
there and play
talking about?
poker because you're too scared to step out in the real world.
So it's
He's
quite
doing
amazing.
what he does. He's
Dude,
doing what
do
he
you know
does
why
in
I'm
the
playing
world.
poker? Is because I'm my own boss. I can do whatever the fuck I want. I got more money than you probably. You know
No,
what,
you
dude?
don't.
No.
No,
No
you
chance.
Mate, just what he's
You
on the
don't?
screen is more money than
How
you
much
cunts
money you
got.
fucking got?
You
How much you
can't-
got in the bank, motherfucker?
You can't
Oh,
do
fuck
anything
off.
you want. You
Yes,
can't
I
do whatever
can.
you want.
I have look. You
If you
people,
could,
are,
you
you
wouldn't-
people are losing
Yeah.
jobs. Like if you post the truth on social media, your job will fucking fire you, and your freedom of speech. You're losing your freedom of speech, you motherfuckers. And you're sitting
Watch
here.
me.
You're sitting here on
Watch me.
fucking YouTube talking shit about flat earthers while all your liberties and rights get taken away. and
wait,
you're
wait, wait,
fucking
hold on.
blind to it, you fucking idiot.
Hold on. You don't understand how that process works.
You don't
If I
understand how
post-
the world works, Lewis. You're fucking 24-year-old pizza
yeah,
delivery
I do.
boy.
Yeah, I understand how it works.
You don't
I
understand
post
shit. You
where
haven't
I
even
work-
read fucking Tragedy and Hope or the Anglo-American Establishment.
Oh my God!
Yeah.
Hold the fuck on,
No,
P-Mars.
you hold the fuck on, you fucking idiot,
If-
and listen to me.
No, you listen to me.
No,
You listen to
I'm
me.
muting this
If
motherfucker.
if I post my job on social media and I lose my job, that's not because
Shut
of
the
the government.
fuck up, you loser.
That's not because of the government.
Oh my
That's because
God.
people online who I disagree with, who don't like my freedom of speech, decide to take advantage of that and shut me down. That's not the government.
Why does
That's
it have
other-
to be the government?
Because that demonstrates I'm not owned. Okay?
Yes, you are,
That's
dude.
That's other people, my peers,
What do you mean you're not
interacting
owned? Are you kidding
by a
me?
different set of rules.
Citation.
It's in no way comparable to being a slave.
What the fuck is wrong with you?
What is wrong with you?
You're born into fucking debt. How are you not a slave?
I'm
You're
not in
born
debt.
into debt, retard.
I
You know
am
what
not
Thomas
in debt.
Jefferson said about that, fuckhead? Probably not.
I'm not in debt. I'm not in debt.
Okay.
What are you talking
what's,
about?
What's the national debt, idiot? You're born into
I am
debt.
not in debt.
Doesn't mean he's in debt, idiot. Fuck me dead.
Well, here,
Do you not know how,
that's
you guys
actually
don't understand how the world works. This is fucking like children. I'm talking to fucking
it's actually
children.
well, you're a
Holy
child,
shit.
I would say, but if there's
These,
any
like,
child,
how
Um,
old are you,
oh.
Rig? Like, what is
Hey,
what in the
me,
fuck?
I'm
What do you
I'm
guys
old
do?
enough.
Do you guys just listen to
I'm
like,
old enough, mate.
you just like watch like fucking CNN and listen to pop music? Like, what the fuck?
Oh my god.
no,
you
actually,
serious?
I don't watch CNN at all.
So,
But
like,
look,
in this book,
Um,
he says there does exist an international Anglophile network which we may
we are in
identify
debt.
as the
We are in
Roundtable
debt,
Groups.
but
I know of the
look,
operations of this network because I have studied it for 20 years and was permitted for 2 years in the early 60s to examine its papers and secret records. I
Oh
have
wow,
no
that's really
aversion to
interesting.
it.
So,
To
what do you
most
think
of its
about?
aims and have for much of my life been close to it and to many of its instruments. I have objected to a few of its policies, but in general, my chief differences of opinion
You're owned by China, Lewis.
is that it wishes to
What
remain
do you
unknown. I believe its role in history is significant enough to be known.
What do you think of the fact that we're all in debt to food, and if we don't eat, we'll die?
I think that is fucking stupid.
What do you think of
I
that?
think you're a fucking foolish
Slaves
child.
to fucking
Who made us start
slaves to
paying for food?
bananas.
Who was that guy?
Food is a
Well-
weapon. Food is a
Oh,
weapon.
charging people. Who was
Let's-
that?
It's,
Who was
I mean, nature. I mean, if we didn't
Hey, you
have
got
that,
charging people?
Your fucking
If
Not
we-
one animal
masters.
fucking charges anyone. Not one animal does.
Your masters. Your
well,
masters.
yeah, actually,
Lewis.
they do.
Lewis.
It takes a lot
Yeah,
of
your
work.
master. Your
Your-
master
your
will
master-
charge
No,
you.
no,
Don't worry
no,
that.
no, no.
Lewis,
it
your-
takes a lot. Hold
Your
on.
Master of
Lewis,
puppets.
You
your
guys are
masters,
retarded.
who you don't believe
You guys are
exists,
retarded.
have wrote
How
about
much work
using
do you think
food
it would
as a
take?
weapon to fucking enslave your dumb shit ass.
No.
That's it. Puppet
not a
needs
way.
a
They
fucking
write
hand
about.
on
They've
his ass.
written about it. You fucking idiot.
You're an idiot.
I don't have the
okay?
fucking quote offhand, but I've read them. They write about using food as a fucking weapon, dude.
Are you familiar
Your masters.
with
You know,
the
there's
concept
you-
of scarcity of resources?
They also
Are you
have their
familiar with
own
this?
set of morals. There's a master morality and a slave morality. Look up Frederick
Oh
Nietzsche.
my God.
Nietzsche.
Are you talking about Aristotle's slave morality?
Talking about Nietzsche's.
I know about slave morality.
Yeah, you have.
And
it.
it's
You're
virtually
just
no
displaying it
different.
all over my fucking YouTube channel.
Yeah, there is no problem with it. It's a matter
There's
of
no
words.
problem with it. I like being a slave.
Well, I mean, you're a
They pay
slave.
me well.
You're P-Mars.
I'm-
You're even more of a slave than I am by your own definition.
Nah.
How?
Nah.
Where's the logic?
Because
Define
you
that.
can't do anything without money. And that's what you literally do. You
What are you
play off
fucking
of the
talking about?
affluence
I live
of our
for-
economy.
Oh my god.
You're not contributing to anything. You're playing off of the affluence of our economy.
What are you
If our
contributing
economy
to?
tanks, you have no skills.
What are
You have nothing.
what is
Your
your-
value immediately dries up.
Your arms and
What is your
legs and shit are worth
skills?
nothing.
You
man.
deliver pizzas. What does that contribute?
That contributes food. That's a service. But I mean, you think that's what I do, but you know, I'm happy that you think that's what I do.
What-
Actually,
So we live in a service economy, right?
That's right.
dude, Go get a fucking
We
job
don't-
and figure it out for yourself.
We
Yeah,
don't produce
Make
anything
people pay
'cause China
I mean-
produces everything for us because
I mean,
that was
where
really
are
intelligent
your
for us to sell
where are
all of
your
our-
parents?
to get
Where
rid of
are
our
your
industry,
parents?
right? That's intelligent. We got rid of our industry because
No, we still. What are you talking
That's a
about?
really
Go the
intelligent
fuck
thing to do.
outside and look around. We still have industry.
we're in a service economy, bruh.
You should go outside and look
is
around
in China,
sometime.
bruh.
Yeah. Have a look around how beautiful this world is.
Go outside
Obvious as.
and talk to the people you see
Yeah.
about their life experience.
And then talk to the animals and see if there's any difference.
You don't have to talk to the animals, basically.
No, you don't, because you can see it. They're not even intelligent. We're the intelligent ones, but yeah, this is what we do.
I'm gonna see you guys later. This is quickly devolving, and I'm already past my bedtime. 6 minutes over, guys.
Man.
Take it
Toodaloo.
easy, boss.
Catch you next
You
time.
guys.
Yeah, have fun sucking
guys.
your thumb.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Tell mommy I said hi.
That guy-
Hey, basic default. Are you Scotty's mate?
Yeah, I am, man. How you going, man?
Yeah,
Yeah,
not
we
too
guys.
bad. Yes, you remember, mate?
Yeah, I fucking do. So why did I kept. He's got rid of all his other shit.
Scotty.
Yeah, he's got a new channel and everything. You're back onto the new one, aren't you?
Yeah,
you were
yeah.
the first, yeah. Scotty, are you watching? Come on. Scotty. I fucking told him I was getting on.
I've tried to get on Hangouts with him a few times, mate, and he just sits in the chat until I'm off.
Yeah,
Sneaky little cunt.
I like Scott.
yeah. He's keeping an eye on you. What I'm here for. Watching the watchers.
God, Lewis is so fucking ignorant. It's unbelievable. All those people in that Discord, like, what the fuck? Like, how can anyone think they are free? Like, what the fuck? Oh my god.
Yeah.
It drives me nuts.
Free to
I'm
do what
free.
they tell me or fucking die. That's freedom there.
Like, it's like they'd have no knowledge of history. Like, look what the fucking bankers did to us. Like, we're fucking owned hard. They fucking own everything. Like, there's...
Someone has to.
If you're
Yeah,
not...
but that's only because someone started charging someone. Who the fuck first accepted that? Who
Well, how
accepted
do you
being
expect-
charged for fucking water?
Well, how do you
Fuck.
expect someone to sit on their ass and do nothing and get something
What
for
do you
doing
mean?
nothing?
So your mum, so you do stuff for your family for nothing, would you? Yeah, I would. I'd do everything for nothing for my family, and
You
they'd do nothing for me.
You know what I mean.
All
You
the
know what I
rich-
mean.
All the super rich people
No,
sit
I
on their
don't.
So I
fucking
go
ass and
out,
do
I go
nothing.
out and I pick a whole bunch of bananas, yeah, and I bring a whole
Yeah.
bunch of bananas back to the village, right?
So
I'm not
you
going to
give-
give the bananas out to you because you sat on your ass and done fucking nothing. Maybe if
then
you've
definitely not the
contributed
person
in some
that I
way
would-
to the rest of the community, then you'd get
Yeah.
some bananas, wouldn't you?
Well, I'd realise I'm in the wrong fucking community. I'd be in the community where my fucking people all fucking got together and helped each other. Said, no, fuck it. It's on me.
Yeah, exactly. You don't have to sit on your ass, but
No, you wouldn't though. You'd all be doing what you wanted to do rather than what you're forced to do
Peop-
for fucking.
People want to do
Some-
jobs that help their like tribe or their
Yeah.
community. They don't
But-
want to do
Yeah,
these
rather than
fucking
build up.
bullshit jobs where you
And
like
why not?
you're just doing some menial task
fuck
and you can't like
Yeah.
you can't see how your job is like you don't feel like when I delivered pizzas, it's like I didn't feel like I was helping society, you know. I felt like a piece of shit. Like I'd be delivering pizza to some fat ass and I'd be like, oh man, did I just
Yeah.
like contribute to this guy's
I hate-
death? Like I'm
Yeah. Making
people-
shit easier for him to judge you more. That's exactly where it's wrong.
People don't need this incentive of money to work. Like people want to help out and help the tribe and make things better and make life better naturally. You don't need this carrot and
Yeah.
and you're gonna no one wants to work these like why are we creating all this shit? We're creating like this most shit life and we don't have like this could be a fucking paradise. You know, like
Yep.
we work more than like
All this time.
many people
Yep.
in history. We don't need to work this much. Like we should be spending time with
Nah.
our families and shit.
Imagine working with our families. How good would that be?
Yeah.
There'd be no pressure, no time limits, no fucking.
fuck, have you worked with
What
your
the fuck?
family
You're
before?
fired. Hey, you're 5 minutes over smoko. Get the fuck out there, you cunts, or you're fired.
It's just
Got
like
insurance.
such a like
Insurance for
fucked
what?
up, unnatural environment, and then it's like we have to do. It's to the point where we literally like everyone is on fucking drugs of some kind or another, like whether it's prescription, street drug, alcohol, whatever it is, or maybe it's just like
Because
internet
I
porn or
think they
something.
have to be. You have to be
Yeah.
to handle this.
You can't. You
To
cannot.
try and even
This is so
like
unnatural
even
of an environment. Like people can't handle it. They have to do drugs.
nah, to even get a headache, you need a drug to take. Get rid of that shit. Rather than holy shit, the pressure too on everyone. It's just way too much. Way too much. Even my kids now. As much as you do for them, the pressure that's on them to conform to what is now it's just they're lost. They're gone.
I hate like there's so much pressure to conform now. Like
Yep.
I got it's. I just get like. I just want to tell people the truth and tell them how it is, and they get pissed off and they like kick you out of their social groups and shit. And then like if you don't, this Gem Panda's Discord, they were gonna be like, you have to promise to be nice to us for us to let you back in. And it's like, I don't want to let other people change like my. That's how they're trying to change our behavior. They're trying to get us to act like goody two shoes and never say anything negative because. The stuff that's happening in the world is really fucking negative, and they want you to ignore it and focus on the positive. Like, even a lot of alternative media, like, if you listen to new age people, they're like, oh, just have positive vibes and just raise your frequency, and then the New World Order will go away. I'm sorry, that's a fucking fantasy, and that spills over into, like, you guys are brainwashed to think positively and hate negative things, and I know that, and so, like, I tend to be a negative person as a result. And then people ban me from their fucking social groups as a result. It's fucking annoying, man.
And money's one thing that makes you do it too. They'll take you away from your truth by saying it's worth nothing. Talk about fucking shit like Logan Paul, mate. We'll pay you millions. So my kids are like that too now. Even if I tell them the truth, they don't. It's not like they don't believe me. They just don't care. They tell me. I don't fucking care.
It's so fucked up.
So what? So I can either bully them, enslave them with my thoughts, but nah, you gotta let them go. It's fucking sorry. It's sad to see.
Yeah, that's.
You're right, Mars. I starting to understand you a lot more.
Yeah, I almost like. I feel like if I would have kids, it's almost like it'd be hard to make the kids my own because they'd be tempted by this like system, right? And it's like the system.
Oh, but yeah. You don't want to make your kids your own. You don't want to tell them what to do. You want to just give them the same skills you need.
But it's
work
like,
shit out for yourself.
The shit is set up so like the system raises our kids, and the system gives our kids like, a lot of.
But again, I've tried my best with my kids just to show them how I am and what I believe in, but they've got to do what they do, and this system is very powerful. It's fuck, I don't know, is it even possible to change?
Yeah, I mean,
because I don't know how anyone can see this is a positive thing where the world's going.
It's pretty hard to have hope. I think like the best the best hope we can have is to sort of like see these people are on a timetable. So what we could do is delay their agendas and stuff. And if you delay their agendas, then it will force them to show like the heavy hand. And like if people will see like the heavy hand, like people are in this like fantasy Disneyland where they think everything's honky dory, but if people start seeing the boot stomping down on them, then they'll start resisting. But there's a problem because there's such like a difference in classes. It's like the poor people will notice it first, and then the middle class, and then the upper class. So it's like people aren't going to all want to rebel at once because some people in the system have it better than the others. And it's just like
they don't have to work so hard on their bodies and their the stress that's put on them is far less. They don't do nothing. They just make decisions that force other people to do it for them. But I don't know. Still don't know. Yeah, like even that Lewis, he doesn't seem to even like have any. He can't see anything even like up with the world. Not
It's
one
insane.
thing.
I mean, I kind of remember being like that when I was 19 and I was just graduated high
Yeah.
school, and I was kind of just like, oh, I remember I didn't even vote because I was like, oh, people know more. I didn't even want to like know anything about politics or how the world works. I just wanted to like
Nah.
play video games.
That's the
and
biggest
chase
step in
girls.
freedom.
Yeah.
Not fucking bowing down to their shit. So no, I don't vote now too, and they tell me, oh no, you need to vote, otherwise you're not going to change shit. You need to vote to change shit. No, I don't.
Yeah, that's another lie.
What I'm doing now by not voting, not opting into your stupid system is that'll change shit. No one does that now.
Nigger, niggers, nigger, niggy, nigger, nigger, nigs, mode, nig out, nig mode, nigger.
Jesus Christ.
Who's that? Who is that?
A
What
band
the
of-
hell was that? Scotty, is that you? Scotty?
No, that was
Nig,
all-
nigger, nig.
Was that you, Rick?
No, someone joined. I banned them. They were just trolling.
Oh,
Was not me.
no, you're still here. That's good.
Fuck, I lost my train of thought. That was good.
I'm only just hanging on, mate.
I gotta turn you guys down.
Don't turn me down, Pete!
Someone in the chat.
Yeah,
said-
Pete, I need to be heard.
It's because my mic isn't very loud, unless I talk like right. Why is my mic not that loud? That's weird.
No, your mic's fine.
You're fucking loud as now, man.
On the stream
Yeah.
stream though, like you guys are louder than me.
Yeah.
So that's why I
Quit
feel like
yelling at us,
I'm
man.
adjusting the stream volume because I can't hear it. Oh yeah, we were talking about Lewis.
Hey, man, we're not Lewis.
We're talking about Lewis. Like, yeah, I remember like
Yeah, you were bitching about Lewis, yeah.
I believed like I was free and America was the good guys and everything was honky dory and I didn't even want to think about any of that shit. And then 9/11 happened and I was like, what the fuck is going on? Like, why do people hate us? We're the good guys.
Everything changed that day, man. I'm not even in the US and everything changed here.
Yep,
Yeah.
that was a big change. That was the start of it, and the start of Agenda 21 to get the ball rolling and taking away our liberties and shit. That's when they were able to spy on us and shit. Even though with, but so I don't know. That 9/11 really set me on the path to figuring out how fucked everything. Because I became obsessed with like, it was so obvious they lied about what happened. So I became obsessed with like, holy shit, we're being lied to, and then that. Once you figure out that we're being lied to, like like everyone knows the government lies and keeps secrets like a UFO and shit like that, but they're like blatantly fucking lying, like hardcore about everything.
Oh, that all can't be lying, no way. But that's the problem. The only way
Hey.
they can lie is it has to all be fucking lies.
Well, it's a lot of like
And
spin.
it's obvious, and it's so obvious, which is kind of embarrassing.
I guess spin would probably be a better word. They just spin the fuck out of everything.
And this is how I ended up in this corner of the internet as well, was because of 9/11. I'll let you in on one thing, P-Mars. I'm a structural engineer, yeah?
Yeah.
And that's what actually got me to look at it and notice that it is a load of fucking horse shit. Everything you're saying there is, you know, they're showing you one thing in one hand, but doing something else with the other, yeah? So, and I mean, it's all in the video footage. It's all there if you want to look at it, you know?
When
Like,
you try to pull that shit
like
on
we're-
them, they'd be questioning you on that shit.
That building.
Their experts would be fucking studying that shit in detail.
mate, the plane should have hit the fucking building and just looked like a torn up paper plane.
That's what I
The
thought.
building should have suffered nothing, absolutely nothing at
Yeah.
all.
I've seen a
bits of fucking
documentary
flimsy
with
shit
an
go everywhere.
I've seen a documentary with like an architect who designed the World Trade Center, and he said it was actually designed to take a hit from a commercial plane, and he said it.
Yeah, several hits from
He said it wouldn't
commercial
do-
planes,
he was
not just
saying-
one.
He was saying like it wouldn't do any damage. It'd be like a pencil going through a screen door or something like that, or I don't know.
Yeah, The World Trade Center was the first steel building to ever fall down because of a fire.
Yeah.
Like, for fuck's sake, it's even in the rubble. What do you reckon they spent? Like, it was quickly cleaned up all the mess and then shipped overseas, wasn't it, to be recycled?
Yeah, that's like.
And they spent, I think they spent more on Bill Clinton's sex allegations than what they did looking into the 9/11 allegation. You know, so
Yep.
I mean, it's all there. It's really all there.
Building 7 is the biggest smoking guns and like the collapse things because that one didn't even get hit by a plane. But like, I don't really like to talk. I don't really like to talk about the. I think they tried to guide the conversation into talking about like the buildings come down, but like the thing that woke me up, man, was like the whole official story didn't make sense because I became obsessed with like why did Osama bin Laden do it, and the mainstream media said, oh well, Osama bin Laden didn't want our military in their Muslim and Islamic countries, so he attacked us, and I'm like, what? Is he stupid? Because like he gave our military an excuse to go into their countries. So like his whole attack, if his strategy was to get our military out of their countries, like it just gave us an excuse to go in there more. Like why would he do that? It didn't seem logical to me. So like that's what woke
It's a
me
sleight
up.
of hand. They do everything for a reason, man. You know, whether they wanted to go into the Middle East, oil, drugs, whatever. I mean, which they've done anyway. You know, all the poppy fields are guarded by soldiers in Afghanistan and all that sort of shit. So, yeah, it's just like I said. They'll do one thing with one hand, but they're grabbing something else with the other.
Yep. Another thing that they've been doing now is like they've displaced a lot of people, so now we're getting a lot of immigrants and shit, and our economies can't really handle it. And it's all part of a plan. They're really trying to like destroy the West. Like it's like blatant. They gave all in China.
I agree with that because we know that multiculturalism doesn't work in some countries, and there's a lot of issues with it. But yet, it still seems to be spread throughout the world. You know.
Yeah, they should be like if they're moving to our countries, they should adapt to our culture. Like they can keep their beliefs and everything. But
Actually, once you force someone to change what they are or believe, or you know,
like if I
see true, it's fake. It's just it's slavery. It's enslavement for sure. Like multiculturalism sounds good, but we should all get on as different cultures together. Even so, why do we have to bow to one law or one way of thinking?
Well, you should know here the way the media portrays, like, you know, street gangs and so forth. I mean, they're always picked out by race, aren't they? You know, so I mean, especially here, we have a tendency to just really, you know, identify those people and roast them. So you know,
we're
it's
the one
just
place
the way
where
that
it's happening the most. It's just, Australia seems like some separate sort of experiment that they're doing, trying to make it acceptable here.
and like
because
we're the
I
largest
accept people
multicultural country in the world, I think, aren't we? Like, you know, the amount of different races and everything we have here, I think we're actually leading the world for multiculturalism, but
definitely
I could be wrong. I think
they're
we're
the
pretty
ones
close.
that are doing it too. Like, we wouldn't be accepting all these immigrants and that over because they're you know, their places are fucked up. We'd be over there sorting out who the fuck is making their place fucked up. And I'm sure, unlike the government, we'd sort it out straight away. Because it'd be their fucking government. Talking shit to them. Because what are we being told about these terrorists? Why do they fucking hate us? Or for your freedom? Wow. Fuck them.
They said like they intentionally make the propaganda stupid, so it actually makes it harder to question it for some reason. Like when they go, they hate us.
Man, they don't like you eating pink icy poles.
But like, how do you? I don't know. Like they intentionally make
they
it
don't
stupid.
get.
I don't know why. Like everyone knew that was stupid. Like people, like comedians made fun of that shit. Like they hate us for our freedom. Like no one thought that was serious, but no one stopped them from saying it. No one's like, "Yeah, that's bullshit." They just like laughed about. I don't know. It's weird. They let them get away with giving that as an excuse or something. You know, we live in kind of a feudal system like slavery, where so like in the feudal system, the king owns all the land, and then
I don't
like
know how you can look at the system like it's that fucking bad, man. Like, really. I'm
Oh,
not the smartest of
what?
cunts, man, and I've done all right. Like,
mm,
I've got no complaints anyway, Like, I live quite fine, well above average, probably, than most people. And like I said, I'm not smart, but you apply yourself and you can have anything you fucking want, man. So I don't feel like I'm a slave or the system's failed or anything like that. If you want to apply yourself to shit, you're going to go somewhere.
Yeah, but it depends on where you are and what fucking
Yeah, yeah.
jurisdiction you're under.
Some people, I
But we're
suppose, you're
lucky
right.
here in Oz. We're pretty lucky.
Yeah, yeah.
And
But look, yeah, you're probably right, but some people are fucking don't
yeah,
have that opportunity to really do anything for themselves. If you
yeah,
say,
yeah,
in a village in South Africa or some shit, I don't know.
yeah. No, they got no hope of coming over.
for me, it's
But it's gonna take a lot more work.
it's hard to enjoy what I have when like I know how fucked up like other people are and shit. Other people don't have shit. Like
Yeah.
I don't know why that is, but
Have you ever heard of Michael Tullinger? Females?
sounds familiar. I think he's a conspiracy guru guy.
Yeah, he sort of is. He's the one that's done a whole bunch of shit on the Anunnaki and all that sort of crap and ancient civilizations. And he's spent a lot of time in South Africa looking at fucking old scars in the land. He reckons there was mines there back in the day and all this sort of shit. Some of his stuff's quite interesting, but it's still out there. But he has another thing where he was trying to push. I even think he wrote a book or something on this, where if everyone had actually pitched in something like 3 hours a day into segregated communities, like you'd have everything. So 3 hours a day you'd have to work, and everyone would have everything, from food to fucking housing, the lot. 3 hours. But
That's it. Then
everyone
those people
everyone has to pull their weight in that community for it to happen.
Our system is stupid, man. We have like fucking empty houses and people homeless. It makes it's so dumb.
Yeah.
Yeah, that is stupid. I don't understand what you guys do over there sometimes. Even with your Hurricane Katrina and the rescue efforts for that sort of shit. I mean, it's like your government has literally hung some communities out to dry, like they didn't need them in the first place, so why fucking go back to help them.
Tupac made like a point one time about how like there's homeless people, but some of these churches take up an entire block, and like why can't the churches house people and stuff? But like, you know what's fucked up is they actually have like building regulations and codes, and like there are people that have tried. Like I read a story about a guy who was trying to house homeless people in his like basement, and they shut him down because of building codes and regulations. They have these little people come, like you try and fucking help people, and they come in and like. They won't let you help people. They won't let you serve free food at a park. Like it's crazy.
Yeah.
It's fucked up. Like, I like.
And everything about solving the problems of this world, it all comes down to money, which I don't buy. Yeah, feeding the homeless or fucking housing the homeless, it's too expensive. No, it's not. Cost nothing. It would cost nothing for us to fucking take a bit of fucking effort, Even amongst this shit fucking system we go by, even take a little step offside and just focus on getting rid of the homeless. It costs nothing. It would cost us nothing. We could do it in a day. Even each household saved, something.
Yeah.
We work for ourselves too. We'd like you say, 3 hours a day. Yeah, there'd be people that still would want to work 12 hours a day for their people. And we'd soon have a surplus of shit going on. Too many iPhones for people. We're giving them away 2 for 1, and one is free anyway. So here's 2. You have fucking 2. We got too many. Fuck's sake! Start using your fucking iPhones, mate. What are you cunts doing? Oh, we don't want them anymore. We just want to play with a ball and a stick. And
What we used to do back in the day, mate.
Yeah. Get your fucking iPhone on, boy. Get your Minecraft.
Mm-hmm.
You need to buy your new skin. How am I going to fucking pay my bill?
It's actually fucked up, that sort of shit you talk about kids and technology, man. I don't see as many
Yeah,
little
no, man.
kids
Oh,
kicking a footy out on the road, you know.
Fuck. I used to be right into this technology thinking, yeah, man, I'm gonna game till I die. I'm gonna go into the machine. I'm gonna be virtual. You know, my virtual reality is gonna be it. But then man, it's a whole other side I see now. My kids, as much as I've tried to, you know, show them that this is not right, they can't see through. Well, they probably can, but they're just deluded by, what is actually true to them. And it's
They're kids,
which
man.
is just pop culture, mate. Yeah, pop culture, what their mates are doing.
Yeah.
And these days, all you need is a phone, don't you? Most apps are fucking free.
Pretty much.
So just get that phone. Whatever you got to do, get that phone and bang, you're locked in. Yeah.
Fuck technology, man.
Yeah. I just think how positive this technology today would be if we actually had control of it ourselves.
Like think
I can't imagine it being anything like this.
Think if like television was used for good. Like you could have a super educated population that had good morals, morals and values. But no, what do they use television to do? Destroy values, destroy morals, and fucking make people ignorant. Like, yeah, if it was.
And that's true because I went through all that myself, definitely. And I used to think it's been well done. It's hard to pick when you don't know. So these kids, mate, these days, they got no fucking hope, really. From what I see, anyway.
Yeah, I think.
Unless I start shooting cunts, I think you're on your own.
Their indoctrination process is so good. Like literally, once it's taken a hold of someone, it's nearly impossible for them to break free from it. I think they've got like a down.
You have to be full outsider, and
it's just getting better because they have all of our tax money and stuff goes to pay for these like scientists who study human behavior, and then now they have.
And it's all paid firstly to that debt, right? Then we borrow.
Oh well, there's that.
So it's like they take all that money, pay this endless debt, which is only interest only, which goes nowhere to some. That's every country in the world. Then they reborrow. They tell us they reborrow, and then fucking we're in debt. It's us. Whereas these are these people that are doing it to us.
Yeah, that's.
How do we stop paying this fucking debt? If every country just stopped paying this debt, like to the government, instead of giving our money to the government, say that's your debt, fuck off with that. We'd have that. You know, whether it's America or Australia, whatever trillions or billions of dollars per year, it would actually be worth something then. But again, it's got to be taken out of the hands of these governments. So I don't know why people are so scared to try and change, just getting rid of a government and trying to make decisions on our own and trust people around you that you know, rather than that you see on TV like Tony Abbott. Come on, Tony fucking Abbott. He was fully pulling the piss, like fucking Elon. Fully pulling the piss, and people can't see it. George Bush Jr. fully pulling the piss. Yeah, nah. We'll vote Bill Clinton instead. He gets bitches. He knows what he's doing.
They kind of like.
See, I've come to the realization I'm on my own as well, in my own family. You can't rely on anyone, and this world seems to value everything on popularity and numbers and shit. Whereas I think in time limits, whereas I think it's just saying, like what you were saying, Mars, about just you're not just taking your time, but don't give a fuck. Have a day off work. That fucks the system. That fucks them up. That's why they hate you so much. You have a day off work, you gotta fucking ring in sick, you gotta get questioned, you gotta get a doctor's certificate. They know exactly what they're doing. It's intelligently designed, exactly. You know, nowhere near as intelligently designed as the whole creation, but yeah, it's fucking.
Oh yeah, I kind of
not
admire it. Like it's like crazy how they've perfectly got us in this like mental trap where we're
Yeah,
just like,
it's-
working for them, like drones.
Yeah. So you've got all the opportunity in the world, yeah, but
But
mate, it's up
they
to
got
you.
us. They distract us, right? They got us focused on like
Yeah.
drugs, sex, money. When
Yeah.
we should like the
Yeah.
things that are really important is like time,
Yeah.
our families, our health.
Yeah, you need it, yeah. If you can't be fucked doing something today, hey, no one should be telling you, no.
One thing
Get out there and just do it.
One thing I would say
What are you
like,
lazy cunt.
about like being around other people like in your family that you love, I think you almost kind of just gotta live in your head, you know, like if they're not.
Yep.
If they're not.
And only
there,
focus on what you can see, what you can sense, what's within your actual vicinity, where all your senses are tuned to. Anything else past that, it's worthless. It seems worthless. Like North Korea, fucking space, all that shit. Doc. Even if it was real, it's pointless. Not that it is real. I'm sure it's not. Pretty sure. But you need to worry about crossing that fucking road. You need to be
I think
worried about whether people in your direct fucking experience are lying to you.
Do people think North Korea doesn't
You
exist?
that people like, yeah, people accept that some fake shit's all real beyond their own fucking reality, and that's fucking more real than their own senses. I can't.
Jesus.
I don't know how to think.
Someone in the
What does
chat.
Google think?
Someone in the chat just said, I read recently that apparently it will cost UK taxpayers, it looks like £7 million for Harry and Meghan royal wedding coming up. Is that pounds or euros?
What? No, we need to do a fundraiser.
How is that not slavery? Like,
I know. Imagine this bitch come out with only like $1 million dress instead of like the $2 billion one that she deserved.
do people know like the
It was
feudal
us that
system?
didn't pay for it. That was fucking disgusting.
The feudal system was where like the king owned all the land, and then you would work on the land, and then you would pay the king a tax, right? What do we have now?
Yeah.
Like the bankers own all the land. They're not a king, I guess. They're bankers. The bankers own everything, and then they just fucking tax us on all it. It's the same thing as a feudal slave system. It's no different. And
I know, because when you ask them for proof of why they're a king, there's nothing there except, oh, my fucking father was a king, and we just carry on tradition. Well, my creator didn't say nothing to me about this shit until he does. I don't know.
Dude, these
Till
rich
then,
people
I'm
are
the
crazy.
king. Yeah.
What did they
They're
say?
creeps, mate. They're creeps. And they know it themselves too. They got nothing else to do. There'd be nothing without it. And yep. So heaps better being on your own, I think, though. Even though it seems tough, I think. Because like even all this flat Earth shit, man, it's all some type of distraction and some type of just give them what they fucking need.
Hey, what's up, Grim? That is one of the.
I'll be back.
That is one of the difficult things
Bye.
is being on your own, kind of like we're social animals, and
Back in a sec. Hey, Brooklyn.
as truthers, we kind of tend to be isolated because not very many people. Most people are just indoctrinated, and they're pretty much robots after that point. You can't really break through.
Agreed.
Even a lot of truthers are like that, right, Cam?
Right now I got my headphones on. I won't be such a problem. Well, maybe I will be.
A lot of truthers can be indoctrinated just like mainstream believers, though.
Oh yeah, that's why I love to say that this great awakening is actually an asleepening.
Yeah.
Motherfuckers just running around saying I'm all so woke, and then they tell you vote Trump, or they, back into the system. Oh well, Russia's doing this, or it's like, man, you guys ain't woke.
Thought I knew that voice. Grim, what's going on?
Hey, what's happening?
Not much.
Like those people, Graham, who think, oh, the elite fucked up by giving us the internet. Now we got Alex Jones to save us.
Oh yeah, they fucked up now, boy. They didn't know what they were doing. Sure.
They're not data mining us and collecting it and analyzing it and figuring out how to control us and predict us. They're not doing that. We're just waking up.
It's not like they didn't already own all the institutions and shit first before they gave us the internet.
They waited till they had everything and then they let us have the internet, right? So
yeah.
There's like no chance. And they own all the platforms, like they own all the big platforms, Facebook, YouTube, and now they're using that. Like I can't believe it's so ingenious. I never saw it. They're using social media to control free speech, and like I just saw a mainstream news segment today about some woman on a plane went nuts on a flight attendant, and now she's fired from her job. And there's like so many stories on this. Like if you act crazy in public and someone puts it on YouTube and it goes viral, you lose your job. And that's the way they're going to be controlling free speech.
Yeah.
It's brilliant.
Controlled free speech. I mean, that's exactly...
It's controlled free speech, but we still... Right. It's like, yeah, you can say what you want, Grim, but do you want to keep your job? You're free to say what you want. Do you want to make money?
I can't wait. Yeah, I can't wait for court precedents on that lawsuit to happen. Because that's a lawsuit ready to happen. Like, you can't just because I said something on my Facebook bring it out and to my job. Like I didn't
policy, Grim.
Right, that's what I mean. A punk company policy is that's why we need to take it to court. So there's a court precedent so the policies can't be made like that.
Yeah, that won't happen though.
Because that's against your free speech. Because
there's
not enough people off of fluoride to talk about it. I know.
I'm sure the courts are just gonna back up the corporations though. So.
Mm-hmm.
That won't happen. That's why I feel like saying the most offensive shit as I can right now before we're starting to have to go to re-education camps or something. They're not going to just time you out for a month on Facebook. They're going to send you to a detention camp. We're going to learn not to use the N-word.
Neighbor. Never say neighbor.
And like comedy now, like in our environment, comedy is, oh my God. Comedy is dead now. Remember like Eddie Murphy Raw? Eddie Murphy Raw, dude gets on stage and he goes, I don't want any faggots looking at my ass. That's the first thing the motherfucker says. Could you imagine if you did that now? You get kicked out of the club. Or like they'd land.
But the funny thing is, it would still be funny. It would actually be more funny now because it's more of a shock value thing and unexpected than it would have been then.
Bill Burr was talking about it, and he was saying how, like, back in his day, the older comedians were, like, lame, right? They would just, like, bitch about their wives, and they'd be corny, tell corny jokes. And he's like, he went to a comedy club, like, now, and he's like, the new generation, he's like, they're like the old people telling corny jokes, and the older generation is, like, the edgy ones now. So fucking.
I know, it's weird.
Flipped. I don't know. I wanted to be a comedian in high school, so I was like studied the greats and shit. Richard Pryor, Sam Kinison, Bill Hicks, all that shit. I was like Eddie Murphy. I was always really into I love stand up, but kind of sucks now.
Yeah. Never thought about it much. People used to tell me back when I was younger, man, you should be in stand up, man. You're fucking funny.
It's easy to say like a smart-ass remark. Stand-up is very difficult. Because when people expect you to be funny, it's way harder to be funny. You know, if you're just like in a classroom and you say a smart-ass remark to a teacher, like everyone will laugh, that's way easier because it's unexpected and shit. But it's really hard when like people are like, okay, make me laugh. And then you have to try and make them laugh. It's like, unless you're established as funny in their mind, then it's easy. Once you get
right, then all you got to do is just say,
yeah.
and then they laugh.
Yeah, it's so weird. Once they've accepted you as being funny, then you like have them out of eating on you. I don't know. I kind of think comedy though is like the one place where we could tell the truth, and I was thinking about getting into doing that. I don't know. Probably
truth or comedy for real.
Yeah, I could just like. You know, I could take a Bertrand Russell quote and turn it into a stand-up joke. So I could be like educating / making people laugh. because that's what the elite do. Like, honestly, they put most of the propaganda isn't in CNN and Fox. It's in like Family Guy and The Simpsons, because they know that when you're watching the media, people kind of have their guard up and shit. And when they're watching comedy, they're just trying to laugh and they're not thinking about like, well, what opinions are
the onion layers. Yeah, what's happening to them. So like, you break down their guard with the humor, and then they're absorbing information.
Yep. And so like most of the propaganda is given through comedy, actually.
Mm-hmm.
So don't trust comedians. They're probably Illuminati.
Yeah, thank you. Flat Earth comedians and shit. Yeah.
Like Joe Rogan. The round Earth shill.
You're right, though. That really pisses me off. That Cat Williams shit, you know, they go right to the political shit. And it's like they put that part in there or something. And then there's like every, oh my God, fuck Eddie Griffin. Right? I just saw Eddie Griffin's new comedy thing or whatever. It is so racially motivated. It's disgusting. I never understood how a super rich black person is complaining about his life being full of racism. Really? Who kept you down, bruh? Who kept you down? Which race was it that kept you down, Eddie Griffin? You rich motherfucker. Right? It just doesn't make any sense. Like, it's like such an oxymoron. Like, oh look, Eddie Griffin, proof that racism still exists in America. Really?
I mean, it might be a little bit harder.
90% of the white folks here. I don't understand.
I think it might be a little bit harder for black people to like get somewhere, but I think it's pretty equal.
Well, who's telling them that?
I don't know.
I mean, it might be harder for a black person to get somewhere in, you know, where?
I mean, I've experienced some racism for being white. Like when I play basketball and I'm the only white kid, no one fucking passes me the ball.
Because you're black, or is it because the way you're talking is uneducated sounding to the employer? Yeah. Right? I mean, is it really because you're black, or is it because during your interview you said "ax me"? Did that bother you, guy? Maybe. Yeah. You know,
you hit that 3-pointer, mate. Nothing matters. You're in. You're one of them. You show them what you got.
Yeah, that's true.
You just go in there and you fucking
and they accept, correctly.
But it's like that's what my point was.
That's why
like,
there's so many obviously awesome black people who can do anything anybody else can do because they're people just like anybody else. But they made the decision to speak correctly and to act less aggressive, you know, and not so goddamn, you know, city. White people have the same problem. They come in being all gangster at a job interview and they don't get the job interview, do they? You know, it's all about that life choice that you're making and what you hold in value. Do you hold being a hip hop gangster valuable? Well, then you probably don't hold having a job very valuable because obviously they conflict, right? And so I guess it's all a matter of life choices, and then you want to blame somebody else because of your own life choices. It's kind of fucked up. Well, it's like you could have easily done like your neighbor did and go to work with, you know, some lawn service guys or sell T-shirts or do something other than the easiest thing you could have been doing, you know, which is selling, you know, drugs or, you know what I mean, robbing people or whatever you do in the inner city when you're broke and don't have a job to make money.
So, like my basketball,
no matter what color you are,
you're right. Like if I go out there and like they won't pass me the ball because I'm white, but then if they see like I start making some plays and they see like I'm a good player, they'll start passing me the ball. So it's like I have to work a little bit. I have to work a little bit harder than a black guy, maybe, right, to get accepted in a basketball court. But I could see that being true for like a black person might have to work a little bit harder to get accepted in a job than a white person. But that doesn't mean...
that comes out of your personality too, like show them who you truly are. Show them who you truly are. It's not colour. It's who you are, and they'll accept you. Like with them, if there's some stereotype and act out some way,
The bad thing is
you don't know how many times.
They're not going to be accepted.
Growing up inner
city, let me finish
right?
this real quick. I'm almost done.
Oh,
so
yeah.
The bad part is like Eddie Griffin, right? Like he'll promote that like victim mentality, you know, where It's like you should be promoting, like, you know what? Maybe it's harder for you. Well, then fucking work harder. Work harder than the white guy, you know? Like, that's the attitude.
Well, he said something nasty.
That's the attitude that would be better than just being like, oh, I'm a victim, woe is me shit, which is what they want.
He said something nasty. He said, I want to see some white mothers crying on the street talking about why they shoot Kevin. You know, that's weird. Dude, that's like, he wants to see, nobody's ever wants to see black families crying and worrying about their, I mean, not me, not any regular ass fucking people.
Too.
Why would he say he wants to see white mothers crying on the side of the road talking about why did they shoot poor Kevin or Kyle or whatever whitest name he could think of, you know?
Fucking,
that's literally just like, listen, it's so opposite. It's like if some asshole was up there saying, why'd you shoot Tyrone, using the blackest name you can think of. That's racist. And that's exactly what they do all day, reverse racism on the white people all day long in all the new movies, all the new comedy, all the new everything. Is all about fucking bad whitey. Get it in your head. You've been bad, whitey bad.
Yeah. Cops shoot white people too. Like, I don't get this.
More white people die from police officers than black people every year. Yeah. But
cops are just
the ratio is different.
That's like a cop issue. It's not like a race issue. I don't know.
Well, don't tell that to the Blizzrealites.
Yeah. I was talking to some of them the other day.
Blizzrealites, sorry.
I felt like they were trying to make me feel guilty for being white. You know, like asking me about my white ancestors that owned slaves. But like, what about, you know, back in the day when white people did own black slaves, there was white people that were against that too. What about those people? You know?
Excuse me, you're forgetting the most important part.
Oh,
black people owned more slaves than white people did.
I brought that up to them too. They were actually
pretty important issue. Pretty important if you think about it. Because who bussed them over here? Who put them on the boats over here? The black people did. See, they forget that. It's all about whitey did this and whitey did that. Look, the first registered black slave owner was the first slave owner registered in the U.S. was black. The first one.
Like,
okay, let's get real. Let's get
Army,
real for a second.
He owned slaves,
and that's just on paper.
The general of the South was against slavery.
The Moors. I know he didn't even own any slaves.
Yeah, but they make the Civil War is all about slavery when it's not.
Right, and the North came down with all their slaves to, you know, taking care of them while they're fighting and shit. Really weird situation, because they sold us in history that it was about slavery and freeing slaves when it wasn't about that at all. No. It was about the crown money. It was about the South fighting, resisting the British Royal Empire proxy that was holding and securing everything invisibly, like the hidden hand.
Didn't Britain and France
the hidden hand?
Didn't Britain and France kind of use America to fight a war? It was basically between Britain and France, and they were using America, right, for the Civil War.
But that was all fake too.
I'm thinking of the Revolutionary War, maybe.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. I was gonna say that's fake too, because at the time King George was also the Treaty of Peace, the King of Ireland and France.
There's a funny ass part of The Simpsons where Apu is trying to get citizenship, and they ask him about the Civil War. And have you ever seen this, Grim?
No.
So fucking.
His shop changes, American flags everywhere.
I wonder if I can play it to you guys. Let's see.
Howdy, partner. I'm a true American.
Yeah, I can play this. I'm gonna play this for you guys. Give me a second.
Yeah.
Are you gonna play it on the watch it on the live stream?
Yeah.
All right, here's your last question. What was the cause of the Civil War?
Actually, there were numerous causes. Aside from the obvious schism between abolitionists and anti-abolitionists, economic factors, both domestic and international, played a significant...
Yeah. Just say slavery.
He's fucking right.
Slavery it is, sir.
Did you hear that?
Slavery it is.
Just say slavery.
Slavery it is, sir.
How funny is that? He's like trying to give him the correct answer, and he's like, dude, just say slavery. That's basically what they've done with our history. They've like forget history,
Yeah.
just like they give us this like Fisher Price history or some shit.
It's true. Oh, well, you don't have to say all the rest of it. Just say the first part that it gives the emotional reaction. Don't say the real shit, like the long, drawn-out thought
Yeah.
about thing about the economic solutions
That,
and reasoning.
that was like the Simpsons from the 90s. That was back in the day, Simpsons telling that shit. That's crazy.
It's another way to hide that shit in plain sight. Like,
Yeah.
oh, it's already been thought about. Just like the Tesla stuff. They put Tesla out there competing with Edison. That way, people go, oh, well, look, that theory has already been well panned out. It was done in plain sight. Of course it's all worked out. Of course Edison's the better choice because everyone agreed that it was the better choice. So a lot of people won't go and research that avenue just because they feel like it's already settled science. It's been panned out to be a waste of effort. Meanwhile,
What's his
obviously
stuff?
it wasn't a waste of effort. What's it?
Or was his stuff ever proven? Like, isn't it like actual
Yeah, he's
technology that could be used
we're using
today?
his
Like,
AC current
today?
right now. We're using Tesla's AC
Yeah.
current right now in our walls. Edison was
Well,
DC.
he-
dude.
Edison stole all of his shit though, because like Tesla didn't really like he wasn't into like business and money. He didn't understand that shit. So like Edison just totally took advantage of Tesla.
I think Tesla was controlled opposition. Actually, literally just controlled opposition. He was designed to fail and present the real choice, but make it look like goofiness, like it's not the good choice. Oh, who Tesla? The guy who married a pigeon? Oh, the crazy guy who
What's up?
all these weird things you hear about him and stuff.
Well,
You know,
I bet he married a pigeon, eh?
My favorite theory I've
He
heard
didn't.
on Tesla is I haven't been able to verify this, but this conspiracy guy Freeman Fly, I don't know if you know him, but he said Tesla was allowed into the Vatican's secret libraries as a child, and that's where he got like a lot of his great ideas from. They're like the Vatican has all these fucking badass books of secret knowledge and shit.
Good on him.
I like that conspiracy theory. Do you know anything about that, Grim? Have you ever heard that?
yeah, I've heard about that too. But I
Yeah.
also have correspondences I've seen where Tesla was actually writing to his friend, back and forth, trying to learn cuneiform, and he was also very involved in the Giza pyramid structure, exact location, from the equator and all this kind of stuff. So
Really?
in one of his quotes, he even said, "I didn't invent wireless technology. I just reintroduced an ancient technology. I didn't invent this. I'm reintroducing it." And that leads a lot of people to, well, a certain amount of people started doing some research about all that stuff that I just mentioned. His locations and anyway. So they found that a bunch of correlations between Nob Hill and the Giza pyramid, like the water aquifer underneath Nob Hill, its exact arc ratio distance from the Tropic of Cancer to the equator, like a lot of particularly well thought out things that show this relationship. We know that there's an induction occurs when water is zigzagging through these limestone aquifer chambers. You know what I mean? We know that there's an atmosphere positive potential difference above it, and we know that they're connected. The pyramid was connected from the aquifer to the tip or to the main bit of the pyramid by a radiated stone, which is basically like just running a wire, because you can run electricity up through the air of an irradiated stone around the stone, just like an electrical wire. And so, there's a lot of stuff that, like the interior of the Giza was magnesium and limestone, which is a conductor, which means that it would have capacitance, being a huge capacitor. On the outside was like an insulator, the limestone with no magnesium, very different for a very particular reason, and very tightly sealed. Couldn't even fit a razor blade through the cracks. So, very much insulated as far as that's concerned. Then we know that the tip was gold or whatever, and blah blah blah. But the whole ball of wax equals one thing. they're talking about stasis, static charge, you know, and they're working with electricity in some aspect or another. We didn't find any tombs. There's no mummies or any shit like that in Giza. It was it's tuned to an F sharp. You know, there's a lot of, very interesting, what do you call it, electromagnetic properties to the materials, and kinetic sound reverberation, possibilities through the architecture. It's not something like you hear a bunch of people talking about, oh, well, they just stacked bricks on top of each other. Like, nah, that's not what happened at all. That shit ain't not that at all. This was well advanced. This is something far advanced, from what you would think they would have had back then through the history we've been sold. It starts to make you think aliens and other nonsensical bullshit, because they don't want you to know humans are old and smart. And we've been through this around and around thing a couple of times already. They don't want you to know that.
That's
but that's the facts.
They teach us.
Proof is in the pudding, as far as I'm concerned.
They want us to think that people in the past were ignorant and antiquated, and that they believed the Earth was flat, stuff like that. That's why they teach us, like, people thought the Earth was flat, and Columbus proved them wrong and shit, which isn't true. But they want us to believe that we're so much more advanced than people of the past. They had all these crazy ideas, and we get that narrative all the time. Did you know that they were gonna try to cap put a golden capstone on the Great Pyramid in a ceremony at the end of the year 2000, but the Egyptian government canceled it or something? That'd have been crazy if they did that.
Oh no.
Yeah. Never took place, but that'd be cool. I really wonder what the pyramid would have looked like in its heyday. They said it was gonna be all colorful, and I wonder. So
they were red, white, and blue, weren't they?
Yeah, something like that. Oh, right, America.
Funny thing is, they were red, white, and. I'm trying to tell you who's been running shit this whole time. And British literally means man of the covenant.
Well,
covenant.
It's these mystery schools that came from Egypt that passed down like sacred knowledge of how to control people.
Yeah, man.
Do you think?
Hermetic
I mean,
societies.
They claim that their ancestors go back to Egypt. Do you believe that? Like
beyond Egypt, before Egypt.
Yeah, Atlantis and shit.
Yeah. I think it's way before Egypt in some aspects. But here's the deal with here's where I differ from just about everybody else right now. I'll start with a quick. Have you ever heard of the Ebner effect?
No.
All right. Well, it's a very real event that happens when you add high voltage electric fields, not current. Current would kill you, but fields will not. High voltage electric fields to the embryos of these trout is the experiment that they did, and the trout actually morphed into the baby trout, grew into an extinct trout that was once thought to be already extinct for over 100 years. Brought the traits out in that. They were much larger. They had these anglerfish hookworm on their lip. All this kind of stuff. It was like a different type of fucking fish, from a rainbow trout. Anyway, they did that with corn and other plants, brought back prehistoric plants that were once prehistoric out of corn and different other stuff. They were just, there's, nothing but fossilized plants of those types of plants left. They don't exist anymore, except they do, because they're hidden in the DNA of the new plant, which means that evolution might be something else. There could be an entirely different mechanism to evolution that's been overlooked by every one of and that's why I always say controlled opposition. They bring out a Hegel's dialectic. They bring out it's either from monkeys or God did it, and the best of the two argue against each other, and everybody jumps into one side or the other. But what if there's a different side? What if it's electromagnetics? What if that is what's affecting your DNA? And what if the sun was not our original sun? We do have archetypal evidence that shows that there are religions who believe Saturn was the sun.
I was just looking at that. They use the color purple to signify Saturn, and these people, or this guy I was watching was saying that, like, we used to exist within Saturn. Saturn was a brown dwarf, and we existed within its atmosphere, and it caused like our Earth to have this purple atmosphere.
People don't understand that, because if you think about we're in the sun's atmosphere right now. Okay, people don't understand when they think atmosphere, they think, oh, you mean right next to Saturn, like on its, and it's not what they mean at all. It means in the plasmasphere. It's not really an atmosphere. It's the plasmasphere. It's like the heliopause. We're inside of the heliopause of the sun right now. We would have been inside the heliopause of Saturn, surrounded by a purple sheath of plasma, electrically charged purple plasma sheath that would have lit the Earth up evenly purple, which is crazy because right in almost every religion is the purple dawn of man, where there was no day or night and the sky was always purple.
So
I mean, these are actually scientific explanations that you can demonstrate that purple hue from an electrified plasma in the atmosphere.
in the Bible, is when it says "Let there be light." That is when, like, we left Saturn and the purple thing went away, and then
when the purple helios, the purple plasma sheath of the plasma of Saturn discharged into the heliopause of the sun, and making the two, discharge until they become, evenly charged, or Saturn can become taken into the circuit, connected to the circuitry of the electric of the sun. So
you think that would have caused
got its rings? That's when Venus discharged through Mars and into Earth, creating, the Valles Marineris or whatever it's called over there. I forget, on Mars, and maybe the Grand Canyon here, and some other mountains and shit. People look at the Grand Canyon and they think, oh, this was something that had to have happened from millions of years of evolution or water, or and actually it could be electrically excavated as well.
Oh, we can hear you.
Is somebody talking?
Basic.
Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. There's a mute. There's a mute button.
Sorry, to mute myself.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were trying to step in. I was just going to give you the floor. Because I know I ramble sometimes.
Yeah, you do. I think you should tone it down a little bit, because, like, you do well on those flat Earth shows, but, like, if you I know it's hard not to, but when you get kicked off the show, you can't really argue with them.
I get so excited to, Oh, you mean like right now? Tone it down?
No. I mean, I don't care right now. I don't like talking that much, so
Yeah, I figured you'd want me to yap away in here.
Yeah. I'm talking about, like, bro. I wanted you to fuck up Bro Sanchez, because I fucking hate that guy. But, like,
oh, well, I did. He couldn't explain any of the things that I said, and he just ignored that as if that doesn't mean anything. Well, it does. It means everything. If you say you can explain the equinox on a flat map, then you're going to have to do it when you're talking to me, sir. I asked you to explain.
God, every time you try and get them with that, they just, like, pull some shit like, oh, I don't believe in that particular model or something. Like,
well, yeah, and the thing is explain to me which model you do agree with, because I'll show you how it does on any other model at all, unless it's a flat map. I mean, a sphere with a very far away sun. It can't work on your other models.
Like, they don't. How do you even debate someone who doesn't have a model? Like, what? Like,
well, because you're using your model.
Yeah.
See, at that point, you have to say, okay, well, now I'm telling you how my works. You need to debunk my model, since we're not working off of your model. Because I'm using observations and shit. I think I know what it is. The main problem with flat earthers is a lot of them can intuitively know that there's something wrong with gravitationally based theories, but they conflate that to the shape of the Earth argument.
Honestly,
their biggest fail.
When I first started watching flat Earth videos, see, I knew that dark matter and dark energy was a placeholder, so I knew that, like, either, I don't know, they're lying to us about deep space, or there's something with Newtonian, like, there's something with gravity that's fucked up. So when flat earthers like Eric Dubé's like, gravity isn't real, I was more willing to believe it because I already knew that, right?
Exactly. That's exactly the point. And if anyone, people who've actually done research into electric gravity and things like that, like I have a paper here that's a new paper. Let me find it real quick in my bookmarks. Electromagnetic gravity, principascientific.org. So, when you start being able to understand, you're talking to people with PhD, PE, Raymond H.V. Gallucci, mathematician, physicist, theorist, and they're using experimental physics this time with this theoretical idea of electric forces, and it goes with the idea of it between hydrogen. He shows what is it, Wallace Thornhill, electric gravity, straight from the Thunderbolts project, the dipole, distorted neutral atom, the induced electric field, everything that we know already does exist as far as the induced electric fields, and what we're calling gravity, because it's making that opposite, very weak opposite force. And the explanation is broken down to where you can see how it's because of the offset nature, the distorted nature of the neutral atoms from their protons and all that fun stuff all the way. And that fact that they're distorted with the lopsided electron orbit is why it's such weak electromagnetic, because instead of it being evened out like it would normally be, it's a little crooked, so you get a small acceleration. And that's exactly what we do get too. And so at the conclusion of this long thing, it says at the conclusion, the exercise attempted to interject some mathematics greatly simplified into the paradigm of the EU theory that gravity can be attributed to the electromagnetic effect, albeit almost inconceivably smaller due to the distortion of atoms by their neighbors into electric dipoles. While we have not attempted to address the mathematics that would be involved in explaining the 10 to the 39th order factor difference between the respective strengths of these forces, the possibility of the electromagnetically induced distortion to create an atomic dipole appears at least plausible. And this is peer-reviewed, and this is when I'm starting to try to tell people they're not going to be, when these Steve McRae's and these motherfuckers find out that stupid ass stoner dude was right for fucking the past 5 years before all these peer review papers came out to support that I was right, something's gonna flash. They're probably gonna have mental breakdown. Like, you guys were wrong every fucking time you argued with me.
So I'm not
horse shit arguments.
I'm not
saying I'm absolutely correct by this, but I am saying, look, man, it's becoming more popularized the more investigated it gets, like by real, what they would call appeal to authority sources.
Right.
You gotta have a PhD for somebody to listen to you. Even though Deborah has a PhD and she's always repeating this stuff for me and agreeing with me, and it's like I'm talking about stuff with a PhD. You know what I mean? But that doesn't matter. These people. Anyway, I
would have a question about this. So I'm definitely not like qualified to really understand this a lot or debate you or discuss this with you really, but so I've seen like a Cavendish experiment, and they've taken taken electromagnetic force out of the equation, or how would I phrase this? They've taken into account electricity out, so it's like that won't affect the Cavendish experiment, Does that make sense? I'm wording this really badly.
Well, you can't.
You can't? Well, this
atomic force as well, and you're already in gravity.
Atomic force.
They're already in the electric field of gravity while they're doing the experiment.
Right.
So that's why there's only small results and not the exact results they're looking for. Because they're already immersed in an electric field doing these experiments.
You can show that like a larger mass attracts a smaller mass though. And this guy, like, he put these metal.
Yeah, you can do that for sure.
He put metal boxes.
You can also, depending on the type of material, that's why it doesn't show exactly what you think it should, because it also can repel. You can also repel a smaller mass.
You can.
With a larger mass, depending on the type of material.
Really? Well,
like water, you take a magnet and you repel water with a magnet, ever so slightly, but it's on the atomic force, and you can do it by, you can show it by putting water in the floating on top in a test tube on styrofoam, and then take a magnet and put it up against the water and the test tube and push the.
What if both are true? Would it be possible? Would it be possible that gravity is some force related to mass, and then also electric universe is there too? Like they're both going on.
Well, yeah, that's what we're saying. It is. That's what I'm saying. Okay. It is related to mass, but why is it related to the mass? Because of the charge of the mass, the dipole and the electric, the electric structure of the mass. What's holding the mass together? You know what I mean? That's what we're talking about. That force.
Okay.
There's an electric force on that, and then step it a step further, then all of that electric force creates a dipole because of the dipole.
But like, what about wood or something? Like wood isn't attracted to magnets, right? But it would still. Let's see here.
Yeah, actually, everything is a little bit, very slightly has.
Okay.
Yeah. Something to do with magnetism or electricity, even if it's a dielectric of sorts or not an insulator, but it still does on certain levels. Not like you're gonna pick up a piece of wood with your magnet. No,
right.
Are you looking at that paper?
I was looking up dipole because I don't even really fucking understand that. Like, I can't even follow this paper, man.
That's why I was asking you if you were looking at it, because I'll read some stuff.
I was looking at it, but then I have to look up words. Yeah.
Well, I was gonna say that there's a picture of the dipole situation right there. It might help you understand why it's offset. It's not in the center. It's offset.
Is it figure 1?
Also help you understand that, the distortion is why there's not the perfectly even amount of electric magnetism, and since it's on a subatomic particle, you can't shield it. Those pass through other particles. The electric field passes through. It's always happening. It's always a part of the. Here, let me explain it.
Okay. Well, that would.
The electric universe theory postulates that gravity is just another manifestation of electromagnetism. All right, gravity is due, they say, to radically orientated electrostatic dipoles inside the Earth's proton, neutrons, and electrons. Okay, so it's already talking about it is because of the mass, but the dipoles in the mass are in a circuit, and they're in, let's say, a complex area of circuit, which would be like a magnetic field inside of a magnetic field inside of a magnetic field, those kind of things, like a plasmoid. And did you get that paper that I showed the other day about how gravity has been reproduced inside of plasmoids? Well, the Earth is inside of a big plasmoid. We have a plasma sheath around her too, so the effects are I've got all these papers, dude. This is when they ask me, we never get to this part of the argument where they actually want to see my peer-reviewed papers or go over them at all. I'm just crazy before we ever get to there, and then fuck off, and then you don't know how to act. And it's like, that's true. I don't know how to act, but I'm still right. I don't give a fuck. You know what I mean? You can come look at the fucking papers on your own time when you get 20 years later, when if you fucking ever get the chance, or whatever. But they exist already. And I love it when they talk to me like, well, why don't you write a paper? Like, motherfucker, the papers already exist. Actually, the experiments already exist. It's just the dummies that don't fucking know how to read yet. Like, you just get over here and read it. Shit. Well, why isn't it already on the news? Probably because the people who own the news and the media also run the dark matter research fucking funding and all that other shit that they make all that money off of, and which would stop immediately. There's no reason to have dark matter if you understand the fundamentals of electricity and plasma, because then we already know, oh, space is permeated with plasma, and all of those behaviors are actually electromagnetic behaviors. And we've reproduced every single fucking anomalous aspect of the universe that we've ever seen in a laboratory already with plasma. A lot of it was done already 100 years ago. That's when you start shaking people's tail feathers. Nuh-uh. And they start talking about near infinite densities and black holes and big bangs. It's like all the untested null hypothesis you can fucking feast your eyes on, huh? But you can't fucking test any of that. How the fuck do you know? It's untestable. How do I put a billion years in the laboratory? Ugh. Unless I want to do it with plasma, I can show you right now how it only takes a few moments to start spiral galaxies in a laboratory with plasma. Plasma is a scalable science, so it's 10 to the 39th order or whatever. It's a huge number. That means you can, like, do whatever.
Do you think it's possible to prove that this gravity is this, like, whatever, static electricity stuff? Do you think you can prove that?
Well, it's not the... I think eventually it's going to be proven. I think the relationship is already proven.
You think mainstream science is trying to cover
that relationship is already proven?
It's trying to be covered up. Do you think?
Well, I mean, that's honestly, if I imagined everyone was as smart as me, then yeah. But then that might be a leap. I don't think everyone is really that smart. No offense to everyone. It's to some people. When did you? Some people, it's well deserved.
What got you? Like,
I made straight A's in school, dude. I smoked weed all through it.
What got you?
I didn't have that problem of retaining and understanding knowledge. That's somebody else's problem.
What got you interested in the electric universe? Like,
interested in it?
Yeah.
Well, because I made straight A's in fucking school, and
okay.
I always wondered what a near infinite anything was. How do you get
so
near infinite?
You kind of like always.
I don't even understand if that's real. And I think somebody just resonated with me about the same subject and said, you know, have you seen the Thunderbolts project on YouTube or whatever?
So it was something you kind of always questioned.
Yeah, and when I started looking into them, I was going, oh yeah, look at all these familiar names. Anthony Pratt. I mean, I've already known about all of these guys in here and didn't even know they had a YouTube channel until 5 years later, you know, when they first opened up their YouTube channel. So it was kind of weird. You know, Hannes Alfine and a lot of these guys, and Halton Arp, you know, these were my heroes. I went to space camp when I was a kid, you know. I went to the one that they held the actual, in 1986, they held the actual conference. It's called Double Layers in Astrophysics. Yeah. I'm not one of those little fucking, you know, those noobs, dude, that didn't come off from the right spot. You know, as far as, I must have been on some other shit and then I just jumped to this. Like, no, I've always been in this. Like, as a kid, I was in this. So, yeah, these guys were already my heroes before YouTube came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah. They have a lot of subs.
Yeah, you didn't know they were that big.
No, they're bigger than Eric Dubé was.
Yeah, they're bigger than shit, dude. And still, people don't even know they exist somehow.
I remember hearing about Electric Universe, I believe, on Red Ice Creations back like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah.
But
it's crazy.
It's kind of something that
they've been on. Yeah, they've been doing shit for many years, decades.
Oh shit! This is stupid. I don't know why I did this. Yeah, it's kind of something that I thought was interesting. I remember they were telling stories of like they said when some of these NASA satellites got places, electric discharges would happen between planets or objects in space.
Oh yeah, and it's totally reasonable because that's what things do. different charges seek balance. If
Would-
there's a medium to accept the current, then the current will go.
Is that evidence of electric universe, or is that just something that would happen normally with like space travel?
That happens. Oh, I don't know about space travel. I was talking about what we know about in the laboratory.
Yeah.
And what we thought space was when I say we, I mean, you know, we the people, we were told space was, you know, a vacuum, which was empty or void of anything else, which is not true at all, excuse me. Now we've already measured the ion flow from the sun, so we know there's a plasma there, and we know an ion flow is not called a wind unless you're trying to confuse somebody. It's a current, an electric current. So, I mean, they use a lot of nomenclature, the wrong words, vernacular or whatever. They're using a lot of the wrong words, you know, when they're, you know, talking. And that would lead one to believe that they are hiding something, yeah. Right? I mean, if you want to jump down that road. Some people, you know, like me, definitely say, yeah, it sounds to me like they're fucking hiding something. I don't care what it makes me look like. I'm usually right when I do that shit anyway, but it just makes people think, oh, well, he's one of those guesser types. So I steer away from trying to say shit like that too much. You know what I mean? And I'll just stick to the facts and then let them come to the conclusions. Even though if they ask me my opinion, I'll tell you, my opinion, which doesn't mean anything really, it's just my opinion, and this is different from all the facts that I just promoted, is that they're hiding something. You know, and I make sure I try to clear that up, because people are fucking, they manipulate anything you say to try and discredit any real information for some reason that bothers their paradigms, their worldviews.
Whenever I'm talking to someone who I feel like they're not really open-minded, I guess I really think it's best to stick to, like, what did you describe it as, like mainstream approved sources or something? I forget the word you used.
Appeal to authority
sources.
sources.
Appeal to authority sources, yeah, because I mean that's but that's the thing is, like, I feel like
it's a logical fallacy, right? It's a logical fallacy. I'm implying two things at once. I'm implying they're using logical fallacy at the same time as, you know, giving you the basic idea of where their sources come by saying that. So it's kind of like a two-stroke with one stroke deal. I'm lazy, so I like to get the job done with as least strokes as possible.
I feel like a lot of this, like, conspiratorial stuff is really out in the open, and, like, you don't need to go to, like, far out shit when you're, like, trying to convince, like, when we're trying to convince a mainstream person, you want to, like, stick to fucking mainstream shit. You don't want to go out into Nibiru and shit. There's no need for that.
What Nibiru is, man. I mean, it's probably Saturn. I don't know why they're talking.
Yeah, I'm getting really interested in
religious knuckleheadery.
I've been getting
Anunnaki and aliens and Nibiru, and that's just nonsense, man. From a Zachariah Sitchin, he's a Freemason.
Yeah.
He told you all that bullshit to keep you. That's a breadcrumb trail to go down and just fuck around with. You think aliens need gold from Earth? Gold comes from supernovas and shit. I mean, get out of here. You know what I mean? It don't make any damn sense to be worried about it like that. And I think that's because it appeals to the human fantasy enough that it'll keep you distracted with all that alien nonsense. When in fact, those things were talking about cosmology. Yeah, they were talking about the way the solar system was probably set up before, and the rearrangement of the solar system, and how the sun was introduced into our Saturnalia, and how we were disconnected, and Saturn was moved out into a 30-year orbit away from us. We were all captured into the sun by the sun. And, you know, then there's that big story with Venus.
Do you think cataclysms were taking place while that was going on? Like, lots of people.
Of course. Yeah. These are electric discharges between planetary bodies. Huge. That would create things like, you know, do you know what electric scarring is? Or do you understand oxidation and reduction? Like if
really.
Have
you were saying so you think the Grand Canyon?
Check it out. I have an anode and a cathode. Okay,
yeah.
A positive and a negative side of an electric current. All right, and I let them discharge together. Well, what's happening is the current is only going in one direction. So the current is pulling electrons from one material and putting them onto the other one. So it's what's happening, or adding them to a middleman material. Let's say if we were using water, it would be called electrolysis. If we had, let's say, water, with some hydroxyl or some alkalinity to it, so it had some, because water is basically an insulator unless you do it at all. You got to add some salt or metals or whatever. So you add some alkalinity to it, some salt, and then you have an electric current passing through. But the ions will come off of the one side and stick to a water molecule, because there's the open-ended, very readiness of the hydrogen of the water molecule to capture another ion or anything. And so that's how you make colloidal silver or something. You add a silver ion to the water molecule. It electrically bonds. Anyway, so blah, 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 blah. Make a long story short. One side is eroding and the other side is building material. You get it? So
is that like when you get a corrosion?
So one planetary body passes by another, and they're a different charge. Like one is way more positively charged, and the other one's way less charge potential. Then it'll try to seek balance by zapping material from the other planetary body. It's trying to pull it towards it, right? And what's happening is it's just too big to be pulled right towards it, and this happening so fast that all it really does is it's like it rips the shirt off instead of pulling the guy to you. So it rips a bunch of material until they find balanced charge. So whole valleys are electrically carved out, and giant craters can be, scarred right out of planets. They look like craters, like impact craters. Like the moon is full of them. The moon is full of electrically.
Well, yeah, shouldn't the Earth and the moon be discharging static electricity between each other?
Well, they probably were until they became balanced out enough to where they're not anymore. That's why the moon doesn't even spin. It's a neutral. It's sitting in a neutral zone, going back and forth. I have my own theory of the orbital mechanics of the moon, being that the moon is in space and very cold, and it rides along the dielectric plane, the magnetic equator basically of the Earth, the very top and bottom of the magnetic equator of Earth as it goes across, which is just like if you were to think of those, when they freeze carbon or they freeze, to make a superconductor and then put it over a magnet and then run that, it tidally locks, and then they can run it around that track. That's the same idea as what's happening with the moon and the Earth. That the Earth is electrically is electric circuitry, and that Lorentz effect, which is that magnetic dielectric, the plane of the magnetic field, is exactly where the moon rides our plane, and it's also within concentric cylinders of another Birkeland current, an electric current, right? That goes out like a bullseye from the Earth in the center, and then rings go out, and then the moon is in between two of those rings. You know what I'm saying? Of charge, and those charges are up. The concentric cylinders of charge are opposing charges. This is how electric currents actually travel, and you can see it. Like you can see the concentric cylinders of Saturn spinning in opposite directions electrically on the pole of Saturn, right? And Jupiter too. Jupiter's it's even more. There's 15 different concentric rings that all spin in opposite directions. Now, this isn't something that can be explained with their regular wind blowing standard model bullshit, because this is definitely an electric effect only. It's only reproduced electrically so far that we've ever been able to do. Anyone's ever been able. But so anyway, the moon is caught in between two opposing charges. That's what the libration is all about. That's why we have an epigee and a perigee. It starts to repel once it's like charged, and it starts to, attract once it's opposite charged. And I can show you a video of the relaxation of charge on a particle experiment, where if you add electric charge to a semiconductive fluid that has if you imagine that you're in a fish tank and you have some corn oil, which is a semiconductive fluid. We would pretend like that's the plasma out there in space, because plasma is damn near a perfect conductor of electricity. And we know that the Earth and Moon are both actually immersed in plasma, but there are different magnetic layers and stuff as well.
I've actually
studied magnetohydrodynamics. I mean, it's hard to have this discussion to people who,
yeah,
you know what I mean,
I
who've
can't
never
really
studied magnetohydrodynamics, or
I can't really follow it.
they don't understand that magnetic fields moving through plasma induces a current, you know, and that can self-sustain. Plasmoids have a self-sustaining system where they can actually survive basically on their own because of their own movement through plasma, sustaining themselves. It's pretty interesting stuff. But go ahead, bro.
I've actually witnessed ball lightning, so
that's
like,
amazing shit.
That would be kind of like one of the things you're describing.
That's exactly what that is. It's a ball lightning is exactly.
And they didn't
It's
believe
like not
existed.
its own movement is making it exist more. You know, it's inducing current in of itself while it's moving. That's showing an overture too, which is like something that nature's been able to do, but man has not.
Yeah, I called it a UFO because like it was just fucking weird, man. It was like this.
Yeah, I used to think of them as UFOs too.
I mean, it's
because I didn't know what they were.
I technically don't know if it's ball lightning, but like that's what I'm thinking it is. I guess that's what makes them look. Because that's what it looked like. It was
on
like
my channel, I showed it.
Have you ever seen that shit?
Exactly what I was telling people that I saw. Just a few years ago, I started telling people that what I saw about it made my friend cry and shit and freaking out, and it was kind of weird. But it was these 3 glowing plasmoids, and they were just they started moving, and I didn't know it was 3 at first. I just thought it was 1, but then I saw in the corner of my eye another one moving, and then I looked over and there was even another one, and they were all like playing musical chairs. It was like a triangle of them, and they were all the way across the whole sky. I was out in a soccer field or a football field or whatever they wanted to do with it, kind of field next to a frisbee golf course. So I was right out in the open, and I had a lot of see all this, and then they just stopped and just stayed in place, very still, like stars. And I couldn't tell which ones were the stars and which ones were them anymore. They lost me. I was like, holy shit, except for one, and it was kind of like daylight a little bit too. So it was really the 3 things moving or the only 3 things that could be seen until they stayed still for so long, and then at twilight they started they disappeared. Anyway, they didn't disappear. I just couldn't. I wasn't gonna sit there and keep staring. It was already established something was off. Anyway, I saw these I saw NASA making these things and shooting them off into the atmosphere and shit.
Really?
And, yeah, and I think that's what them showing you that they're doing that is they already had this method. Like they've been doing this for a long time. And so this is, I think they're either copying this natural phenomena of, plasmoids in our atmosphere, or are they just, create them. But I think they're copying. I think they come like just naturally. The plasmoids do. They form naturally.
I bet a lot of people mistake them for UFOs.
I bet everybody does.
That's what I thought.
That's exactly what they thought Foo Fighters were, and I think they do control them magnetic.
I wonder if they were in. Well, that'd be wild if that was like a life form and they were intelligent or something.
Right. Well, imagine what is life really, but the dynamics of the electric field folding over on itself a bunch of different other times until, it's organic. That's what it is. So I mean, it's electricity and the current and the field dynamic. It's all life, I'd imagine.
Yeah, every life form has a.
I'll be right back.
Every life form has a magnetic field, and sharks can actually detect it. So that helps them find their prey because they close their eyes right before they bite. So they have these sensors in their nose that detect magnetic fields in living animals. Because if you have a your heartbeat, I believe, produces a magnetic field. And so yeah, when sharks can't see, they use that to find their prey, bite. I always thought that was interesting. Like, what a fucking sharks are fucking awesome, man. Did you know that shit? Did you hear what I said?
Sharks what?
Sharks can detect magnetic fields in living beings.
Yeah.
That's fucking
close their
cool.
eyes, yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Birds also navigate that way.
I gotta
detecting the magnetic fields.
I gotta go to the bathroom too. I'll be right back. So you got any thoughts on defeating the New World Order?
Wonder what he meant by not if the Earth is grounded.
Yeah, I don't know, cause I got a delay on the thing, so I think that might have been when we were talking
really a
about.
potential difference. The word ground is, you know, doesn't really apply to the solar circuitry. It's charge potential difference there. There's no ground, basically. But a ground is sort of like a placeholder word for basic bottom charge potential on Earth.
When I saw that ball lightning, it was like a fucking clear day. No thunderstorms or shit. Hey, what's up, A4?
I'm trying to find. Let me find. I think it's one of my Electric Universe recent ones.
You and A4 get along, right?
Yeah, A4. Yeah, he's my best friend. He's got volumes of videos. Ask him.
I wonder if he's ever made a video exposing me. I'm pretty
Oh, my
sure he
goodness.
has. He's probably made a video about everyone, man. What a legend.
Let's see.
I wonder if there's ball lightning videos on YouTube. Wow, there is. In Sioux Falls, that's right where I live. Or close.
Wow.
Maybe I saw St. Elmo's fire. That's another plasma phenomena.
Yeah. Maybe I put it in a flat Earth one. I know I just.
Oh, weird.
Wow. Wow.
Oh, crazy.
Wow.
There's a video of it online. It's happening during a thunderstorm, though. I saw it on like a clear day. Super rare ball lightning moving across Siberian field.
Shut up.
Huh.
Also, floodment of strange fear.
Oh, weird. Still there, man? I'm getting pretty tired. It's like 3 a.m.
Hold on 1 second. Let me
Sure.
find this video for you.
Ball lightning in Saudi Arabia.
There's a couple of them. There's one where NASA is actually showing you they're
Oh,
making the
fucking
plasma,
crazy.
shooting them out with magnetism. Oh, you know what? It's easier to find it on my G Plus. That's where I posted it.
475. I got a call. Oh, my bad. Thought I won that.
Here it is. Oh, bitch. Oh. Shit. Give me the mods for a second, will you? So I can drop a Google link.
Okay. Okay, your mod.
Bam. Alright, thank you. Drop it in there too. Click on that video. That's exactly what I saw.
Let's see.
Except they were
Getting-
further apart.
I'm getting an error. What the fuck? Yeah, get error. I'll give you mods again. I don't know if you can fix it.
Okay, maybe I can. Let me see. What about the one in the Discord? Does that one work?
Yeah, that one works for some reason.
Oh, nope. It gave me an error too.
That's I got
It's
it.
fucking...
Taxpayer funded NASA
did I
toy.
put- I put too much in there.
Here, I'll post it in the chat.
Yeah, even that one gives you an error. Why don't I just get the video only instead of
Oh, fucking crazy. Yeah, that's pretty much what I saw.
Exactly, right? That fucking blows your mind. That's
It was like it was moving quicker. It was like zigzagging. These look more like UFO, because these ones are moving weird.
Watch how it stops, though.
Yeah, that's why.
That's exactly what happened to me. And the thing stopped, and I couldn't tell if it was a star anymore or what. And this is like, it's all three of them like forming, like, they're like attracted to each other, but up until a certain point, and then they repel again. just like
That looks just like a fucking UFO
look.
triangle thing. Yeah.
That's how they moved. Like that one. It just went. I'd be a little bit freaked out. Them motherfuckers passing around.
That's fucking weird, man.
This guy goes nuts about it, though. I keep telling people the NASA plasma balls are coming to fuck us up. I think they're not NASA plasma balls. I think they're just... There are NASA plasma balls, though. I literally saw...
You think you think the alien shit is all BS? There's no aliens.
Well, I mean, I'm sure there's life around. I think there's, like, they found us, or we found them. Or... So far away, dude. You know, but we know that the same conditions are relatively more common than we were once thought by thinking of everything of without electricity. You know, without electricity, it would be really strange to find the conditions the same, you know, as here. This one's full of electricity.
There's some mechanism that
can... old theories, they just couldn't figure it out. But now, I mean, we can see water, oil, even glycols and amino acids are being formed electrochemically on comets even. Just on comets. Like, there's certain isotopes that exist that prove that the cometary theory has been falsified on these comets because they are way too new to be billions of years old. Those isotopes would have decayed by now. But no, they're still steady and being reproduced over again on this comet through electrochemical reactions from the, you know, negative potential of the comet coming towards the solar positive potential through the ions of the heliosphere. It's fucking crazy how stupid we are. It's almost like the missing link is right here, and that they're astronomers. Fucking regular astronomers who don't use circuit theory or plasma physics in any of their. That's just, you know, I'm opinionated.
I think it's crazy that we don't know where we are or where we came from, you know? Like, I feel like it should be passed down, like,
we came from Earth.
Well, like, we don't know the evolution versus creationism thing. Like, you'd think the story of mankind's, like, beginning would be, like, something that our species would have passed down through, like, some tradition and shit. And we should know that.
You know, it wouldn't be something we would even know because we evolved into it. We wouldn't have been prepared to explain that evolution at that time. So it wouldn't be like something we could ever explain. But we would never know.
All these cultures have creation
unless
stories.
Someone could tell it to us. But then you're, again, that's probably just as silly as anything else. Like, who was standing there waiting to tell it to us? No one. We were telling it to us and guessing from what, you know what I mean? It'd be like the butterfly waking up out of the cocoon and, you know, not without the same brain. You know, he doesn't before. How could he?
I don't know. I mean? But, like,
we all remember when we were worms.
We have all these creation myths, and I just feel like if we knew how we were created, that would maybe give us some sort of power or, like, some knowledge that, you know, was necessary, and that it's been purposely taken away from us so we're more easily controlled, maybe. I don't know. It's the idea I had.
I'm not trying to detract from anything you're saying because it could be any of those things, you know.
I was always been fascinated by like creation myths and origin stories and stuff. I like that stuff. Adam and Eve and all that.
Well, I don't like them so much because they always seem to have either this side or that side, and there's no. What about the outside of, you know, not any of those things? What about something completely different? And you know what I mean? Like they literally, it's either from monkeys, or you know what I mean, or it's, you know, or what do they call it again? I'm fucking stupid all of a sudden. You know, survival of the fittest. What was the goddamn thing I'm trying to think of? Selective, you know, whatever.
Adaptation.
Genes from, you know, selective genes. What the fuck is the word I'm looking for? I'm having a dude. Help me out. You know, mechanism for evolution.
Isn't it survival of the fit? Isn't it survival of the fittest?
You got the bigger beak because the fishing hole.
Adaptation.
They mated with the, you know, the birds mated with the other birds because their beaks were longer and they could get more fish. You know,
natural selection.
Yes, natural selection. Thank you. It's like, I know what the fuck I'm trying to say. I just don't know the damn word for it, you know?
Yeah.
So, anyway, I do know the word for it. Natural selection. And it's either natural selection or, you know what I mean, or divine intervention. But it's never, you know, electromagnetism altering. It's never that. Why is it never that? Because that's the only thing we've ever been able to prove in a laboratory. Why is it never the thing that we can actually prove? I don't know. But that seems like maybe it's a good question we should ask other people. Have you heard of the Ebner effect? Do you like to argue about creationism and evolution a lot? Maybe you should hear about the Ebner effect, then file your argument down. Because there's another mechanism that is being ignored.
There does seem, I mean, it seems like at some point life would have came from nothing, right? And like there's some...
Isn't that what's happening? We can see it happening on comets.
Yeah,
they told us oil was a fossil fuel. Okay, well then how did all that oil get on Comet 57P?
It's like a tree produces, you know, apples or whatever. I think.
How did all that oil get on Comet 67P?
There's some mechanism in the universe.
How's oil jetting out of it right now?
I think
How's
there's like
water being produced from it, and it's not even ice they landed on, so they know it's not ice. It's a rock, but water is still being injected from the top out of it. Pretty neat, isn't it? They got water ejecting out of it rapidly from the coma, being produced, all kinds of hydrocarbons, also coal even. They've got sand dunes. There's no atmosphere, but sand dunes, because they're electric, ionic winds are out there, obviously. It's very electrically active. They discharged on the Rosetta satellite. The electrical discharge happened when they landed on. Big lightning bolts shot out of the Rosetta onto the fucking comet, which is basically it becoming the same charge as the comet discharging. The tails of comets, they point away from the ion flow. They call it away from the sun, but it's away from the ion flow. Or with the ion flow of the sun, excuse me. Electric stripping.
I kind of feel like there's this like force to the universe that just creates life somehow, brings life into existence.
Yeah, it's called it's field dynamics that does that. That's what makes it so simple and so confusing at the same time. Because if you study like Steve Wolfram's cellular automata, whatever. It's an explanation that sums this up. It makes it pretty simple. You don't need a divine creator. You just need 3 simple rules, and that would be like the field dynamics. A simple set of rules that would apply and create new rules as they're repeated that are, you know, in ordinance with the first 3 rules. You know what I mean? So like if like the 3 rules were to, you know, the first one was, you know, use black and white color. The second one would be to put a space in between each black or white color, and the 4th rule would be to double the first rules. You know what I mean? And then you end up with this program that you start running it, and it looks like, you know, some pretty simple patterns at first, but then all of a sudden it takes on an organic life of its own, and it looks like a fractal and amazing shit that goes on inside of it, like life just happened from some simple ass rules, and it's all unexpected, and you can't even predict exactly what's going to happen, which is another interesting thing about it. It's something you might want to look up, man, because it really helped me with that idea of where the other does there necessarily have to be a divine creator? If this is true, then no, it sure doesn't.
We are definitely different.
Divine.
Like, you are definitely more scientifically minded than me. I'm more like woo, I guess. I don't know. I like get into like philosophy about like meaning of life and stuff like that. I like to think about shit, but I'm not really scientifically. I'm just, I don't know. Everyone has their own interests, so.
Yeah. Well, they'll grow and change when you get older and stuff too.
Well, it sounds like you've always kind of been into science, like your whole life.
Well, yeah, but I haven't always been, you know, heavily involved in learning it and sharing with others. You know, I was young too. I didn't do.
It's kind of hard to. You kind of need to be.
This is not how to be cool when you're younger.
Right.
This is how to get.
I
have
actually
to look at all this type of shit after you already established that you can get pussy.
You can actually get pussy doing this method because it's like women never
nowadays,
have.
But back when I was a kid, you couldn't.
But I think women
I
are.
had to hide that I was very intelligent from people. You know what I mean? You would have to hide that shit because they're intimidated by that shit, man. You start talking way over people's heads about things that interest you, and you know, oops, you forgot to ask what's interesting to her.
But I think men, they hear a lot of the same lines and shit from men, you know. And if you come with something kind of intellectual, it's like something they've never really experienced, and that just because it's a new thing, it can be kind of interesting to them. Like, I don't know.
I'm talking about on the averages. Yeah,
I've picked up.
They usually expect a dumb jock football head, and that's what they want too. Yeah, they want that dumb jock football head, so that they can say, "Look, I have that dumb jock football." You know what I mean? Like, I have the old cliche type, the average. Everyone else has these types. Yeah. You know, they want that, and usually,
you're right.
Girls don't know what the fuck they want. You tell them, you give them what they want. You know what I mean? They say they want one thing, but they really want to control you. But then if you let them control you, then they've already defeated you and want to move on from you. So you can't give them exactly what they want. They don't know what they want. They think they know what they want, just like everybody. I feel like there always better be something broken a little bit with you so that you can always fix. Otherwise,
there's some like social engineering that makes women nag the fuck out of men, and makes them guilt trip men. Like, I don't know if they learned that from their moms to put men in guilt trips all the time. And then as a man, it's like when a woman starts guilt tripping me, I think there's like a subconscious thing that makes me actually like feel guilty. Like, we're trained to feel guilty because I don't know. And I have to like catch myself and be like, don't feel guilt. Like, this woman tried to put me on a guilt trip the other day, and there was a second where I was like, almost fell for it, and then I'm like, wait a second, I shouldn't feel guilty, I didn't do anything wrong, and then I just told her off, and it was a good feeling.
And now you're the asshole.
And now I'm the asshole, and she will never talk to me again. But I don't need those fucking people in my life that are gonna be like fucking guilt tripping me and shit and giving me a hard time. So
definitely not. Especially when you get older, man. It starts to wear on your health. You don't even realize it.
Yeah.
You don't need people fucking being negative to you, especially when you don't deserve it. Especially if you can control that by just shutting the button off. Bye.
I like it when people are negative, and I like good criticism, but it's just like, I don't know. She was yelling at me because of a fucking comment on Facebook that she said almost got her fired or something, but whatever. I don't know. I was like, whatever. You're a fucking server at a restaurant. You have a shitty job. Who the fuck cares? Maybe that was kind of mean.
Well, I mean, it might have been for no reason. Did you have what you thought?
I don't know, man. I was just telling a joke. Like, I just put a comment. She had some post about Valentine's Day, and I just was like fucking pissed off about. I just don't like holidays and shit, and just made some stupid joke, and it was just. I guess her fucking it was a work related post, and her fucking employer got mad at her and bitched her out, and then she got mad at me. I don't even have a fucking job, and I'm getting like social pressure to not say things on fucking social media.
Oh, you. Never mind.
I don't want to get people fired, but like, fuck, man, I'm offensive. I don't know, like, what am I gonna do?
I was gonna say, not you. Come on, don't be so hard on yourself. I see it 1,000 million times, 1,000 trillion times, 1,000 trillion times stronger than gravity. I see it.
Shit.
Motherfuckers do that all the time, though, dude. Tell you that you're the problem. You'll go in there and be polite, have some, questions, and they'll be like, "That's the motherfucker that been porn bombing." And like, wait, how do you know that?
Oh
so
God, that's
spread
so
a rumor
frustrating.
that you did that and you didn't, right? I mean,
yeah, bro Sanchez.
I know they do that to me. I've never porn bombed anyone. I wouldn't even look at gay porn, so I wouldn't even do it for a joke. So I'm not gonna sit there and gay porn bomb somebody, or female, or regular porn bomb, or whatever. Any kind of need to do that. Because I have the argument, the equinox that no one has defeated yet, still waiting for an answer. That's the reason why I got kicked in the first place. That Nathan Oakley shit. How dare that motherfucker say that I porn bombed him?
He said you porn bombed him?
Well, he had Anthony spread that rumor because some guys cornered him in the hangout and was like, "You said Grim porn bombed you?" And he was like, "Well, no, I didn't say Grim did, but then why is Grim banned?" "Well, because I have my own reason." "What are they?" "Well, I don't have to tell you." "Why?" "Because Grim has a fucking argument that you can't handle. Equinox, and I won't let it go." I'm like, dude, why is it that no one else understands the whole very simple argument? Sunset, moon phases, equinox. No flat earther can ever explain those very simple observations from a flat earth map with local sun. And if they can, I'm waiting for that answer. And where is it? It's simple. Why do you want to? That's another reason. Because right around the time I said, "Hey, bro, why didn't you take any environmental data?" I mean, we can't even make a proper refraction index without it. So why are you acting as if we're measuring something here? You're not measuring it yet. You're not measuring anything until you find out the refraction index. Otherwise, there's no sense doing this Isle of Man argument at all. Just go back and get the refraction index. Isn't it like right nearby? And where's the didn't you have a P900? Where's the fucking GPS data from that? You just click a button and it automatically gives you the GPS data. Why isn't that on the photo? What is going on here? And then I'm banned because those arguments right there shut his whole show down. If anybody would pay attention to those parts of the argument, he would have had no month and a half of Isle of Man argument. Nothing. He wouldn't have been able to start that argument at all. Go get the data, dude. Tell me what the temperature of the water and the air was. Tell me what the humidity level was in the air. And between you and there have multiple spots. I can tell you exactly the refraction index. I know how to do the math. It isn't even that fucking difficult.
Yeah, I think you do a good job of cutting through all the BS and getting to the heart of the matter and efficiently and all that. But he doesn't want to argue with you. He wants to argue with Rumpus, who'll just like fucking drone on and on to the point where no one, like, you just tune the guy out.
Yeah, fuck, Rumpus will count the posts with him and go through the whole, feed the psychosis thing and measure it and stuff. And like, why are you even measuring it, dude?
It's like Rumpus is giving him credibility. It's insane.
Yes. Exactly. They give them credibility, and I don't give them credibility, and I'm clear about it when I speak. Like, wow, who didn't graduate high school in this room? All the flat earthers raise their hand, please. Thank you.
I try to get him with the argument that, like, the horizon is the vanishing point, right? But then if we increase our altitude, the horizon also increases in distance from the observer. So if it's the vanishing point, how can the vanishing point change based on altitude? That makes no goddamn sense. But I don't know, like, I don't know what Nathan says to.
Well, I like when they try to use the hot asphalt as the complete atmosphere. They're using an extreme atmospheric refraction to try to mimic what Soundly's videos look like over the water on crooked asphalt that's hot, by the way, with the sun on it. So it's creating a gaseous effect, which really triples that
refraction shit.
It more than triples. I mean, it compacts the refraction idea that's going on there. So I mean, it's a complete manipulation, which it almost proves that they know it's a manipulation too. I mean, from my counter, I suspect that they put the guy who threw the camera down on the ground and did that knew damn well that it's a manipulation, and he's using hot asphalt, to amplify those atmospheric conditions on a smaller level.
It's so funny because, like, you got a guy like Soundly who's got that Lake Pontchartrain picture which shows the curve, but then they'll argue refraction and shit, right? So they're like, oh, that doesn't prove a curve because of, like, atmospheric effects and dirty air and all this shit. But yet, their
the
best...
refraction doesn't even go that way.
But their
refraction goes skip to the viewer. It skips up from the viewer. So it never skips down. I mean, it's like skipping a stone on water. Does the water skip the stone down, or does the water skip the stone up?
But like, they'll debunk. Yeah. But they'll like debunk Riley, right? But then they'll turn around, or Soundly. They'll debunk Soundly and say that, like mirages and shit. But then they'll turn around and say the best evidence for the flat Earth is they can see this shit in the distance. So it's like. They know there's a bunch of like
dissonance.
It's so stupid.
It's cognitive dissonance, and it's a real eye opener because you realize that these people don't understand simple stuff, like a simple model of a thing. They can't picture it in their head, obviously, because if they could, they would be with us. They would be with us now, but they can't picture this model in their head. They can't picture. The orbit of the Earth and the orbit of the Moon and the position of the Sun at the same time. And so, in their heads, they can't picture how the light should be shining from Earth's perspective to the Moon as the Moon moves around the Earth and as the Earth moves around the Sun as well. I mean, they can't picture those things. Matter of fact, a lot of them will settle on the idea that the Moon is its own light source, or even that the Earth's shadow is the reason why the Moon goes through phases, or that these ridiculous things they're very easily testable and verifiably disproven.
There's
just by just that observation right there, simple stuff.
I think what you're saying, like they know that they're deceiving or whatever, they know what's going on. Like I think that's what's happening, because when I look at, there's this thing in the anime communities where people will put out videos with like really bad opinions or like incorrect opinions because they know Like if someone's sitting there on a YouTube channel and they're saying things that are incorrect, it drives people nuts. And they get ratings. Like you just sit here and say things that are factually incorrect, and it'll drive up your ratings and views. Because I don't know, people like watching someone be wrong, so they can correct them. Like people love to correct someone who's wrong. So I think that's what they're doing.
Though? You know, that makes a lot of sense. That's probably why I never see those Mr. Smarty Pants motherfuckers show up to argue me on my own panel,
exactly.
or my own show about these situations. They only like to gangbang up on a motherfucker when they can control the mute button, kick me out of the panel, have a bunch of friends who are mutually fucking, you know, start yapping in turn, pecking, so I can't never respond to one particular person at a time, and it becomes another shit show. They do that on purpose. It's like they wolf pack of like a bunch of pussies because they can't fight on their own. And so they wolf pack, and then it's okay to wolf pack, but how dare I fight back? Oh, you disrespectful. You don't talk to my friend like that. Oh, the guy's been calling me a retard and off for the past 30 minutes. I can't talk to him like what? All of a sudden now, since I finally fight back, it's, you don't say that to my brother like that. Like, fuck you guys, man. You know, the whole reason why you're doing it is why? Because you don't know shit about the fucking topic. Some jackass was trying to fucking, you know, tell me that 30 parts per million, 32 parts per million is the perfect ideal amount of colloidal silver you're supposed to eat, blah, 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 or have, or right? And I know it's like, you know, 10, 15 tops because the particulates get bigger. They think parts per million actually means the pieces and parts that are in per water molecule, or, you know, per and it's really the weight per liter. It's just called parts per million. If I put a fucking silver dollar in there, it'd be like 20 or 2 million something parts per million by weight, but it's really one fucking part. And so this isn't what they don't understand that. He's assuming parts per million actually means how many pieces of ions are in, you know, per million molecules of water there are, which is incorrect. So, and with sodium, with fucking colloidal silver or ionic silver is what I use and make. It's the nanoparticulates have to be smaller. The smaller, the better. If they're small enough, they can actually. What happens is they will fit in the little grooves of the bacteria. Little bacteria has these little, you know, claws that want to grab you. Well, it ends up getting stuck with one of those, and it breathes through those little claws too. It eats through those claws and does all that. So what this does is it inhibits its ability to, you know, reproduce, and it blocks and kills the bacteria pretty quickly. But it's not non-toxic to human cells. Well, if the pieces are too big, 30 parts per million, this is what happens in electrolysis. You know, he doesn't know who he's talking to, for one, right? But in electrolysis, he's, you know, when you're adding, you know, silver ions to water molecules, the ions keep getting bigger and bigger after a certain saturation, 10, 20 parts per million tops. Then the ions start getting bigger instead of becoming more. Since the water is basically saturated, the ions just get bigger. Now at that point, you can call it 30 to 50 to a million parts per million if you want, right? But all it is the goddamn silver pieces are getting bigger. Well, again, bigger is not better in nano silver because, you know, again, the little, you know, bacteria claw doesn't get caught with one of those big pieces. It just bounces off of that. You know what I mean? So you need the smaller piece to get caught in that little receptor, basically. But he didn't understand that. And so a whole bunch of viewers had to listen to, you know, a bunch of, fuck you, you stupid, you don't know what you're talking about, don't fucking call me an Alex Jones, this, that. You know, I said, Alex Jones says that too. And, you know, and then everybody's like, oh, you just took a shot at him, said he was like Alex Jones. Well, Alex Jones just does promote that fucking 30 part per billion shit, million shit, man. you know, and they got to talk about the micron size. If it's point oh, you know, not oh, you know, point not, you know what I mean? 5, a point not 5 microns is better than a 0.5 micron. You know what I'm saying? Got to be smaller than the microbial life, dude. I mean, they're selling you silver that's bigger than the fucking microbial life. It's fucked up. Anyway, so it works for some pathogens, but not the most aggressive. You
So
know,
The
acidic
shit you buy from
pathogens.
Alex Jones won't work.
No, it'll work, but only on some pathogens.
Oh,
Instead of 99.99, you know,
gotcha.
bloodborne or the other way around.
Whenever I hear that just
Bacterium.
sounds like snake oil, right? Like whenever I hear some cure-all shit being sold, I would never like buy that or believe it would work. I always feel like just like healthy diet and exercise is the way to go with stuff, and like nutrition.
Well, diet and exercise, yeah.
Preventative
Diet and
med-
exercise. A lot of the medical stuff that they talk about though is on point. So I mean, it's probably not wrong that he probably does have some good products.
Mm.
No, you know, I hate to say that, but I mean, you don't have to get that shit from him though.
Right.
It shit already exists with other labels on it. You know, it doesn't come. I wouldn't even support Alex Jones that shit. Just eat non-GMO. Eat right, guys. Don't fucking stop off at McDonald's. Come on, man.
I've been
That shit's fucking. Yeah, that's bad for you.
I've been like having no processed anything, like hardcore strict diet, just pretty much like nuts, potatoes, and chicken, meat, and little vegetables, and like, man, I think just not having the crap in me is making me feel like way better. Not necessarily that I'm eating good, but like just not having all that processed sugar and all that crap in you.
Exactly. Clearing up wheat from my diet, pretty helpful.
And then everyone's different too. Like I wouldn't recommend one. Like some people can eat things and other people can't eat the same thing. Like everyone's diet's a little different, so you gotta kind of like figure out what works for you. But I've never really found. I'm 35 years old, and it's like I'm just figuring out like this good diet plan finally for the first time in my life. It's kind of sad, but
I understand.
I used to like eat healthy and shit too, but I wasn't.
That's pretty common.
I've had my
usually like, oh shit, you know, I gotta focus on this shit at least a little more.
Yeah, I
starts.
I always like living the healthy lifestyle.
Once you start researching, and I know you already are. You know,
like
hella researching all the time, shit.
Back in the day, I was
you know, just
all
tell the people that are watching.
I was all up on like the trans fats. I took trans fats out of my diet, and like right after, you know, in the early 2000s, and now they're gonna be banned. and the thing with trans fats is they affect your cell walls, because fat creates the cell wall, and the trans fat it lets in all, like, the cell wall is like supposed to keep out the bad stuff and let the good stuff into the cell. Well, the trans fat does the opposite of that. It like lets the bad crap into your cell and keeps out the good stuff, because it's like warped in that way to do that or something.
Oh yeah.
So
well, you know what a microwave does?
No. Should I not use
It
microwaves?
mutates trans amino acids into trans fatty acids.
Really? Crazy.
Yeah. It mutates these trans amino acids.
Is it safe to microwave water?
Yeah.
That's pretty much all I use my microwave for, to heat up water.
Yeah, it emits the radiation pretty fast. And there's, you know, no mutating of any genetics or anything in there. No fat cells or amino acids or anything to fuck with.
Dude, that's crazy. And then I was trying to explain to Lewis how food is a weapon. Like, they don't even fucking get it. Like, are you serious? You're living in a society that's like full of poisoned food. You don't think food is a weapon? Like, How can that should wake people up? Food should wake people up.
Definitely a weapon. I mean, holy shit. We knew food was a weapon back in the old days.
It's always been used as a weapon by
People
like
who
the
didn't get
kings.
vitamin C and shit, they fucking got scurvy.
Like
You know what I mean?
back in the day.
People who were eating fruits and vegetables seem to live longer. Weird.
Yeah, back in the day, like the king would only be able to afford meat. Like peasants would have to eat like the shit food.
Yeah.
So
If
they
you're not eating any meat, when you're not also not getting any vegetables, you're gonna die. Can't just eat bread and wheat forever, because you got to have some vitamin A, some vitamin B, some real food. You know, some proteins. You get a lot of that in rabbit meat.
It's so funny the differences, I think, in how and how we're controlled. Like back in the day, they'd maybe like force people to be poor so they couldn't afford or make meat more expensive so poor people couldn't afford it, and it was only like the rich were allowed it. And then now it's like they kind of like brainwash us to eat crap or something because all the food's available to us, but well, they do. I guess they do economically control it too a little bit, because if you want to get the organic food, you have to pay a little more money. So like poor people are screwed once again. Some people can't afford to do that, and then they're forced to eat the shit.
Oh hell yeah, man! All that cheap stuff that you can get with your food stamps, it's literally all the poison. You see people buying with their food stamps all the poison, you know, foods, and it's like, you know, that makes sense that they would want to kill you first since you're the one collecting all the food stamps. You know, weird. That was a direct shot at A4. Sorry, dude. Your stamp. Just kidding.
I used to get food stamps.
They don't even call it food stamps anymore, do they? I'm showing my age. They're not.
Yeah,
stamps.
they do. It's on a
card.
It's on a card. Yeah.
Yeah. They got a EBT card. EBT. I don't know. I think it's that.
I lived without money for a long time.
I don't know what that is.
And I was on food stamps. And
EBT card. Yeah, that's what they call it over here.
It's funny, like they try and make it so you can't scam food. Like there's no way to have a fail-proof system, because I was able to get weed with food stamps because I just like bring my drug dealer.
Well, yeah, but you still gotta with food stamps, yeah. But I mean, now you gotta actually, you know, go to the store, like take a shopping list for a motherfucker and do all. So it's like, you know, if you were, because you got an EBT card now. You can't
I hook up. I took my
your EBT card because it's got all your monthly stuff on for the whole month or whatever, right?
I would just like
take it right now. They give you cash too.
I would just take my weed hookup to the grocery store, right, and then she would buy a bunch of food, and then I'd pay for it. And then I got weed.
Yeah. But yeah, man.
The system works.
I'm always out looking for that person who just gets too much EBT. You got too much EBT on your hands, you know, some cash. A 50-50 deal there.
I don't feel
on the dollar.
I don't feel bad about doing that or people that do that, because you think about like all the corporate benefits and shit they get, you know.
Exactly.
Like that outweighs anything.
To lose, right?
Like, people want to bitch about
that.
People want to bitch about welfare, like someone on food stamps. It's like, give me a fucking break. What about corporate welfare? Like they're making the fucking money, not the fucking. They don't give the money to the people.
Are you kidding me? What about the bank bailouts? You're gonna cry about fucking, you know, Miss Sarah getting fucking an extra $50 a week or a month on fucking thing, Miss Sarah or whoever it is, some single mom. didn't say that, you know, she stripped 4 days a week or something.
They get that shit from Fox News. Fox News tells them and
Let
like,
her
oh,
strip 4 days a week, whatever her damn job is, side job.
it's
That's
fucking
why they want
hilarious,
Bitcoin
man.
and shit like that, so they can literally
The
they
rich,
can see everybody's got a particular income coming in,
yep.
exactly where everything is, and flow of it all, and who's gonna pay taxes on what.
Well, they're already
They
doing
make
that
people
with
think Bitcoin is about some anonymous bullshit. No,
Debit-
NSA
debit-
wrote the fucking hash for Bitcoin.
debit cards. Are
NSA
already
actually
doing that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I could if you wanted to. Should I? Are you tired? Did you say you were trying to go to sleep like an hour ago? Dude?
Not that long ago, but I guess whatever. Dude.
I'm gonna let you go, dude. I forgot. I hate to do that to people.
No, it's cool. We can keep. I actually got a second wind if you. I mean, if you want to leave, you don't have to stay, but you can stay if you want. I'm not. I don't know.
Cool, cause I mean, I drank a cup of coffee. Right, I woke up. You know, I get up 3 hours ago.
Shit. What
Do
time?
my indoor gardening, my nighttime gardening. All my
You wake
lights
up
and
at.
stuff come on.
You wake up at midnight.
Yeah, about sometimes 11. Midnight.
Oh fuck, Graham.
I
I'm
just drank coffee.
quitting.
Ooh, I'm still shaking off the cobwebs from sleeping.
I'm quitting smoking and I'm going fucking nuts, dude.
Oh man, yeah, quitting smoking is hard. I still haven't been able to master that.
The first 3 days were like fine, and then I got to day 4, and I had to go to my buddy's house and get high. It's like
Oh, you're talking about herb. Oh yeah,
mhm.
I've never even tried to quit smoking that.
Yeah, I don't recommend it. Fuck.
I'm gonna quit smoking herb for a couple weeks. I do that all the time, actually.
I think it's okay in moderation, right? I just have an issue with like I would just sit here and like just constantly smoke, and then I'm just giving my brain that false reward or whatever. So that's why I want to quit. But you know, it'd probably be better if I just waited till before I go to like smoke in the evening before bed. That would be perfect. So
Yeah. Oh yeah.
and it helps me, like I have insomnia, I have trouble sleeping, and like weed is awesome for that. That's I had insomnia my whole life, and then when I started smoking weed, it was like I could finally sleep for the first time.
Yeah, that and push-ups and sit-ups.
Oh, that helps too. Yeah.
Not right away, but I mean after.
Yeah.
Well, shit, I gotta hop off.
Yeah. Cool, man.
Good chatting with you.
Yeah. Thanks for talking. Talk to you again.
Oh, you bet.
See you, man.
Later, everybody.
So I went off. Me and Lewis fucking went at it. He got me. I was fucking screaming at him. So you guys can watch that if you want. What's going on in the chat? Cat Earth is self-absorbed. That's why he spends all day making people answer my stupid questions. Nathan's on? I'm gonna go to check out Nathan then. Alright, later guys.